Environment is critical. Environment is very vital if you want to clear UPSC. And to discuss about environment today, we have with us Annie ma'am, Annie D'Souza. She is having 9+ years of experience in this field. She is a multidisciplinary educator and she has various degrees in commerce, English literature, and anthropology. She is a very well-known face in UPSC academic. She travels widely across India to teach students. She is very passionate about teaching. She is a very passionate academician. She is also an active research associate at Samskruti Foundation, Mysore, right? And she has, she's a member for many organizations. For example, Bharatiya Upavan Vijnanam, which deals with ancient Indian texts on horticulture, or be it with Kavi Kavya Kadambakam, where a compendium of 100 Sanskrit poets are there. So also she does a lot of volunteering and field work. She volunteers with renowned NGOs like Nature Conservation Foundation, and she's also involved in many projects focused on biodiversity conservation and community outreach. She's also known to teach anthropology. As you can see, she is a environmentalist. She is very much fond of the environment, and I think uh, she is the right person to take this class, as she is very much well connected with the subject, and she is also teaching has been teaching this since 9+ years. So she'll throw highlights on what UPSC has been asking since long. She'll give you a pattern analysis and also how the PYQs have to be tackled and in what way it is to be looked at. Welcome, Annie ma'am.
Good evening
Yes.
for the warm introduction. So
Yes.
let's get to the point here. Today we have joined all together for the thing wherein to strike at the main point, wherein we can discuss and analyze and understand the pattern of the question. The point is not to try to answer the questions here, rather to revisit the question and understand the pattern and how should be our further preparation for the current exam. So that is the point here. So straight away we will start with the questions without any further ado. And we divide, I would say that usually we can divide it into segments, starting from the static part, that is environmental ecology, which mostly we expect static part of the subject. And as we move forward, we will also delve into biodiversity and climate change and other micro topics, such as any scientific science and tech topics is also included here, and some of the agricultural topics. This is what we can expect from this session, and hopefully it will be helpful for you. And you can, of course, you can ask any questions if you have, no trouble with that, and any queries meanwhile. Okay. So some of the well-chosen questions are here for you, that I would say, wherein during the process, during the entire session itself, you will understand why these questions are selected. And by the end of the session, I'm sure that you will get the pattern. So once you get the pattern, you also will know that, okay, when you revise your current affairs, the last minute preparation, last minute revision for your current exam, upcoming exam, you would know what is important and what is not so important. That is how I would call. I would never say this is important, not important. It's like some are really important, some are not so important. So you can prioritize the topics, give more importance to that, and do well in your exam. So let's begin with the first question. Your first question is taken from 2013, and the question goes like this: with reference to the food chains in the ecosystem, which of the following kinds of the organism is or are known as decomposer organisms? As I have already mentioned, decomposer is a topic wherein what do we call a concept of or it is from static part, I would say. Okay, static part of the subject here, decomposers. What are decomposers? Hope you all have studied in your classrooms, wherein decomposers are end of the food chain or in the structure of the ecosystem. Their task is to break down the complex into simpler. There's a definition, we know. And this question highlights the importance of three divisions here, that is virus, fungi, and bacteria. I told you already, it is not about it is not about answering. It is welcome. You are welcome to give your answers straight away here. I'm happy if you're so interactive also. So some of you can give your answers also. wherein what is the right answer? Which among the following are considered as decomposers? So answer is, we would say 2 and 3. B is the answer. Why not virus? So virus is not, it is a microorganism, but it is not an organism which can take up decomposition. A very simple, straightforward question. So what can we expect from this in the upcoming exam? I usually tell in the class that previous year options, incorrect options, are upcoming years or next year's question itself. You will see these topics repeatedly asked in the other questions in different years also. So fungi, bacteria, virus is one constant set of topics wherein in one or the other way questions have been asked in the past or after 2013 as well. The question is straight here, but where do we get, what is the source of such questions? It is from the news. News could be in 2013, news could be regarding some viral infections, it could be fungal diseases or bacteria strain, or it could be any invention or technology, it could be anything. So they narrow it down to the basics. So the clue for you here is, all of you are joining now, a very good evening. Okay, so you can get along with the questions what we are discussing. So all these three areas, especially these three areas, okay, it is very important. Anything related, remotely related to this is also important. That is what you have to keep in mind. So when we speak of fungi or bacteria as decomposers, what I would suggest is, the recent updates I would say is, let me tell you one example from your current year, or last from 2024 to 25, this entire year current affairs. If I suggest one of the topics you have to look into is plastic eating fungi was in news. Okay, hope my handwriting is legible. You can see here, plastic eating fungi. The topics what I'm mentioning now, please make a note of it and know more about it later. I'm just connecting to the current affairs to the previous year questions. Okay, plastic eating fungi was in news, wherein it eats up what do you call as a polymer, which is used in construction industry. Why it is important for us? To reduce plastic pollution. So the question need not be regarding the plastic eating fungi itself. Rather, it would be again the basic ideas about fungi, how we are expecting here. Same would have happened in 2013 also. Hope you got the point here. So this is the first question we are discussing, and I've told you what you can expect in the upcoming exam. And when it comes to virus also, not only fungi, let's speak about virus and bacteria. Antimicrobial resistance, this topic, AMR, you might be familiar with this as well. Antimicrobial resistance. I hope you know this topic. This is from the science and tech. But though it is the topic, question can be again simplified like this, or direct questions can be asked on AMR. That is what I suggest you from the area of the topic bacteria. And when it comes to antivirus, I would say even I'll consider virus also here. Virus. The recent news was CMV, cucumber mosaic virus, was in news. Okay. TB related issue, antimicrobial bacteria is about the drugs, medicines what we are intaking, but it is not bacteria resistant or disease causing bacteria resistant. Rather, it is actually getting immune to the drugs or the medicines. That is what the topic is. I'm believing it is a very static, very old topic. You will be knowing. Instead of explaining it, I'm just mentioning it. Please go through it. So CMV is the topic I'm suggesting you to look into. Cucumber mosaic virus, which is an agricultural virus where it is most commonly seen recently in the crops such as cucumbers, okay, cucumbers and melons and squash. So this is a common virus what we saw in the agricultural area. So all the three are in the news. So I have given each plastic eating fungi. From the bacterial perspective, we can say antimicrobial resistance, AMR. And from virus, we have CMV, that is a cucumber mosaic virus. Go through these topics, which is a pattern. We already have a clue here from the UPSC. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Answer is 2 and 3. Okay, that we have discussed already. We go to the next question. That is productivity question. This is a very old question, and though it is added here, what I suggest here is productivity is a topic, not a denial in that it is a static topic, but this kind of sequenced based questions are less likely to be asked. Why we have taken up this question could be, the reason is considering the different ecosystems here, looking at the ecosystem, why these ecosystems matter. Okay, if you have an answer, you can answer here, or else it's okay. So because basically we are here to understand mangroves, grasslands, lakes and oceans. Okay, any other answers you have in this? Hope you got the question. Which one of the following is the correct sequence of the ecosystem in the order of decreasing productivity? To make it clear, productivity means what is the amount of organic matter produced in a particular ecosystem. Okay, what is the total amount of organic matter produced in the ecosystem? That is the question here. So it is slightly difficult for us to actually come into a conclusion. This was a bit of a controversial question asked in 2013, because some even suggested that analysis wherein we can never get to know what is the area size or the area of a particular region of an ecosystem. So because we do not know the area size, we cannot actually come into a conclusion. I think the answer was, what was your answers here? Have you mentioned your answers? Let me see. You have any answers? Can I expect? So if you are interactive, that means you are here. I mean, along with the, okay, B. Most of you are answering B. Any other answers? Yes. B and C I have. Fine. Okay. Just mentioning this to you, let me tell you this again. This question was the first time asked and ever asked again, never asked again. So the answer is B here, okay? B. If you ask me why, it is because how much of organic matter, in the sense the vegetation matters here. When come mangroves, oceans, grasslands and lakes, mangrove has a thick dense vegetation. Then we go to the oceans, where in ocean larger in size, yet phytoplanktons can produce more of organic matter. Then we speak of grasslands and then lakes. But don't worry about this question much unless it is in news. Possibly you can focus more on our hint is mangrove. Focus more on the topic mangrove itself, anything and everything related to mangroves. It can be the recent report of IUCN. I'm suggesting you some of the topics to revise. Recent report of IUCN on mangroves, and also the recent report on India's state of forest, ISFR report. Hope you know about this. The biennial report, India's state of forest report, was recently published, and it is mentioned the total area of mangroves in India. We are having 24% of the land mass in India is covered with forest, wherein 4,900 odd square kilometers are of mangroves itself. The mangroves are dotted all along from Gujarat to West Bengal. Every coastal state in India are dotted with mangroves. So mangrove, consider that as an important topic here, and anything and everything related to that. And mangrove is also very important to mains as well. So we go with B here. Moving on to the next question. So this is from again the static part, where we learn about the modification and the adaptation of the species. So adaptation in the sense how species try to thrive in a particular region. This question is a combination of geography and ecology, because question is asked on desert here, especially on desert. So the demand of the question is, which of the following modification will help the plants in the desert to stop water loss? Here water loss, we use the term as, okay, you can give your answers meanwhile while I explain, okay? It is transpiration, we say, reduced transpiration. C and D, I have different answers, C, D, okay. This, if some of you are here who you have sat in my class, I usually use this question in the class as well to make you understand adaptations. So the answer is 1, 2, 3. All the statements are correct. The plants make sure that wherever there is a dry region, they make sure that they withhold the water. Whenever there is humidity and high temperature, they try to let go of the water. This is one adaptation of the plants. A simple logic will do for this. Now you might ask, this is asked in 2013, how it is helpful for us in the current year and what topics we have to go through. Always remember from the static perspective when it comes to ecology, here especially when it comes to desert, revise all your biomes, the features of biomes, different biomes. That is forest biome, desert biome, grassland biome, tundra biome. The features, that is what is the temperature, the location, what is the precipitation pattern. This revision is a must. How you revise some in other subjects, you revise some static topic, right? Let me give an example. Like in history, you know that Buddhism, Jainism is one sure short question area, right? Like in polity, we say that Article 21, always it is there. Likewise, here biomes, consider like that. Know the features of biomes clearly. They can ask about grassland, they can ask about tropical forest, they can ask about desert. That is what I say that this is the takeaway. So we understand the evolution of the questions here, wherein different biomes features are asked in different years, consecutive years. That is the clue for us. Don't even have to worry about the current affairs. Just focus on different biomes, revise it. Know the features. Okay. So this is what we have. So the answer is all three. All three are right in this question, which was asked in 2013. Moving on to the next question. Okay. This is also static and there are some hints for us to learn. Too many hints I have here. Maybe in the going forward, you will be identifying the hint in the other questions also. Remember, the year this was asked in 2017. Okay. We will see other questions where the same thing, same pattern has been repeated. That's why we consider this as an important question. So due to some reasons, if there is a huge fall in the population of the species of butterflies, what could be its likely consequence or consequences? The question is, what happens if butterfly population reduces? How it impacts the environment? 3 statements are given. You should go through it carefully. I'll give you a minute. Try to answer this question because it is little conceptual and technical. Maybe how you think about it matters. Can you try answering this question? Okay, B. Any other answers? What will happen if the butterfly population is reduced? As simple, as straight. C and D. I have different answers, so I'm just waiting so that C. Okay. D, C, D, C, D. Okay. Okay. So the answer is, what is the answer? Answer is C. It is 1 and 3. Right. 1 and 3. Why 1 and 3 and why it is correct? I'll tell you. First statement, pollination of some plants could be adversely affected. Of course, yes, because butterflies are a very important pollinator in the nature. So definitely, some of the plants which has to be pollinated by butterflies, their growth will be affected. So first statement is right. Second statement, or I'll complete the third one, then I'll come to the second part. It could lead to a fall in the population of some species of, your hint is here, okay, wasps, spiders, and birds. I would not call spiders and birds is your hint. Remember this word. Okay, I'll tell you what about it. So why do we say that a butterfly population decrease in the butterfly population will impact the other insects population? That is because some of the butterfly larvae is the food for some of the wasps. That what would say wasps and spiders and birds eat butterflies, or in the food chain, butterflies are important food source for all these species. That is why it could fall. So no butterflies, no food, right? That is the reason. Then some wasps will be having mutualism with some of the butterflies. Some wasps will be parasitic as well. parasitoid, parasitic. Right, parasitic means the organisms which depend on the other organisms. That also could be. So all these reasons, I'm just giving an example. So third statement is correct. And there could be a drastic increase in the fungal infection of some cultivated plants, nothing to do with it. Because butterfly do not have their source or nutrition in fungus, or fungi is not dependent on butterfly. There is no connection at all here. That's the reason second statement is incorrect. We go for 1 and 3. 1 and 3 is the answer. Now the hint I'm talking about, wasps. Why wasps are important? After 2017, at least twice, question on wasp is being asked, either as a direct question or still wasps are finding their place in the options. So somewhere UPSC is showing some interest on wasps. So anything and everything related to wasps in news can be important. Okay, I would suggest some of the things what I can mention here. When it comes to this wasps, we have wasps and butterflies both. I would consider butterflies also. Recently in news, it would be the new discovery in Western Ghats. That is very common. We usually see new discovery or discovery of the species of wasp species, butterfly species and all that. That can be important. Then regarding butterflies also, why butterflies and wasps are connected. Recently, 5 new Darwin wasps were discovered. Can you just, I'm suggesting for you, I mean to you that just go through this topic which was recently in news. Recently, new 5 species of Darwin wasps were discovered, or it was mentioned, it was in the news. Maybe you might have to go through this and collect more information of the wasps features. Okay. We have put some of the questions here regarding wasp. There are multiple. We will take one more later. So our hint is we got the pattern now. What is the pattern? Wasps are mentioned. Not necessarily in the question, not here, but as one of the options. So we need it. Okay, that is there. Then one more. This is new Darwin wasps. Focus on that. Next topic you have to look into is parasitoid wasps. What are parasitoid wasps? The wasps which are dependent on other organisms for their survival. Right, parasitic or parasitoid wasps were also in news recently, which were found in here only in Karnataka and Belgaum. New studies say that in Belgaum we have this new parasitoid wasps which lay eggs inside the other insects. Where are they keeping their eggs safe? Inside the other insects, inside the body. It is like a parasitic wasp we have. That was there. So parasitism or parasitoid concept can be asked. Again, it is revolving around the wasps. So wasps is the center point here wherein different perspectives can be asked. It can be new species, it can be parasitoid, or it can be the interaction that is happening between wasp and something else. Already there is one pattern we have seen in 2023. Again, it could be repeated in different way. So consider this as an important topic. Butterfly, the question is based on butterfly, but I would suggest you to look into the topic of wasps. Okay, spiders, I have not seen much in the latest years, but wasps, yes. Okay, so this is what we have. And why wasp matters to us, why UPSC is so fond of it now. I mean, why are we saying in the question? Because wasps help in pest control. They feed on other insects. So they control the population of the other insects, especially pests in agricultural field. So we need them. Okay, that's the reason. Moving on. Next question. This is one no-brainer, very easy question. So UPSC got to know about it. We will guess and we will find out, we will reason out an answer very easily. Initially, when it was asked like this pattern was there in early 2015, 16, 17 and all that. Then they have stopped now, but they are using the pattern like statement 1 and statement 2. Go through this question and can you answer it quickly? What is the answer for this? D. I'll tell you why it is easier for us. Why do we consider it as a no-brainer? Don't even think about it. When sum is given there is one trick. Sometimes we have to use some tricks, right? In nature, in environment, in nature, what happens is there are exceptions always. There is more than what meets our eyes, we say. Like more than what we see around us. To understand the species around us, living organisms around us, we take our entire lifetime to understand it. Why I would say this is an easy question? Because first statement says some species of turtles are herbivores, some species of fish are herbivores. Some. This is the key word for us to understand. Of course, yes. You ask anything, any species you take, and then you mention some exception. Yes, there are exceptions. Everything is not same, and all you cannot put one particular species in one basket and say this is how they work. No, I'll give you. So your answers were, let me check your answers. All of you have mentioned D, which is correct. Okay, so I'll tell you about the one of the examples, how it works easily for you. Vultures. I'm taking an example of vultures. Okay, when we speak of vultures, what comes to our mind? When we say vultures, we have a kind of description in our head. Or can you tell me under the structure of the ecosystem, where do they fall under? What kind of species? I mean, what is their role in the environment? Very good. They are scavengers, correct? They're scavengers and they feed on carcass or dead organisms. That is their task. And how do we describe vultures? How do we think about them? When we think of vultures, the description would be they have. Can you say? I mean, from your answers, it will be easier for me. Instead of telling my imagination, I would expect answers from you. How do you describe vulture? What is the first striking feature that comes to your head? Apart from their task, their morphological feature I'm asking, their outer appearance. How do they look like? Great. Nature cleanup crew, we can say. Good. Last feeder in the food chain. Okay, role I understood. I'm telling the external appearance. What is the first thing you notice about vultures? Great. Strong beaks. Very good. Large feathers. No feathers on neck. Right. You have some description. So we would say, okay, whenever we see a vulture, we can spot it very easily because that is how they look like. Right. So they do not prey. Okay. They do not kill, but they feed on the dead organisms, dead carcass. As Mark Twain says, this also I mentioned in the class, Mark Twain, the writer, he says, vultures are such birds which has a look of an assassin, like a murderer, but does no murder. There is no killing when it comes to vultures. They only feed which is already dead. They look very fearsome, fierce, no feathers, and very when compared to other birds, they do not have very attractive as far as the eye for us. What we look into them, they do not have such attractive features. But not all the vultures of the world are featherless on their head and neck. We have one of the species in South America who are called as, I mean, in India also they are the visitors, migrants, bearded vultures. Beard vultures they are. So it's like completely covered with feathers from head to toe. That makes us understand always what we think when we say vultures, they are featherless. It is not the same thing. There can be exceptions. Why I gave this an example for you? Because always remember, if such questions are asked, it is no brainer. There will be an exception. There is no such thing. All are same. Nothing like that. And it never will be. Because when it comes to adaptation and survival of the living organisms, there will be an exception according to the given environment. So giving an example for the first one statement, I'll give you an example. Some species of the turtles are herbivores. I'll tell you, in turtles, we have total 7 marine turtle species, like leatherback, we have green sea turtle, we have olive ridley turtle, all this we have, right? Not all have same diet. Olive ridley turtles are omnivores, whereas leatherback, the largest of all, are carnivores. Green sea turtle is again herbivores. So we have exceptions, we have differences. Fish also, some are carnivores, some are herbivores, which feeds on algae, some feeds on other fishes. Marine mammals, some are herbivores. Marine mammals, dugong, a good example for that. Dugong, a sea cow, a mammal which is herbivore. Some species of the snakes are viviparous. The word, I'm just focusing on the words. Viviparous means oviparous is egg-laying. Viviparous are the organisms which give birth to the, or live birth, their young ones, viviparous. Snakes are oviparous and viviparous. If you have any examples, can you mention some? Some are egg-laying, some give live birth to their younger ones, some snakes. Maybe from this, I want to point out one thing for you. We have 4 species of snakes in India for your suggestion, for your learning. Okay, take away from this question, I would say is 4 species of snakes in India, which is major cause for snake bites in India. It was in news all over. Entire year it was in news. I would suggest you to look into it. Snake bites in India is a major issue. It's a major challenge. And which are those 4 species responsible for this in India? Okay. Sea snakes might be viviparous. Okay. Anything on land, if you have, you can tell me. Friends, anyway, it is an old question. My suggestion for you to go through this. Anti-venom Malabar pit viper. Okay, you are giving an example for viviparous. Okay. Go through this. Today, snake bites is a challenge in India, and we have an agency at the national level where anti-venoming to tackle the issue of snake bites, and it is not it should be traded, or it should be purchased or brought legally under the government's purview, not illegally traded. It is considered as an offense, wildlife offense. Trading snakes, illegal trade, even the venom of the snakes which is being traded, which is illegal today, that is used as aphrodisiac or drugs today. That is one more challenge. So all these issues were there throughout the year. Go through that. I would suggest this as a topic from this question. Okay. Anyway, as I told you, why it is a no-brainer, because there can be always an exception in nature, and when the question is given as some, go for it. Don't even think. Don't even have any second thoughts. But now UPSC got to know this is very easy pattern for us, so they have stopped asking this question like this, a pattern like this. We are seeing that in the statement 1 and 2, which is a bit of more confusing. Here we had some option of eliminating at least. There we do not have. So factually, it is correct. So don't have to think much about it. It's an easy question. So takeaway, I told you, go through the issue of snake bites in India. That is your takeaway from this one. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following are detritivores? Continuously after this question, we see a pattern. I'll tell you what is that pattern. Now try answering this question first, then we will continue. Which of the following are detritivores? Hope you know what are detritivores. We have discussed in the class, and you'll be knowing, most of you, in this under the structure of the ecosystem. What are detritivores? Or what is the answer? You can go for it directly. C, 1, 3, and 5. Okay. Well, detritivores are the organisms which feed on, who comes below scavengers, which feeds on the feces, fecal matter, or we say detritus mean debris or waste. Debris or waste. Yes. C is the right answer. That means in the structure of the ecosystem, starting from plants, autotrophs, what we say, this is all static for you again, which is what do you call herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, scavengers, detritivores, and decomposers. Until here, for each of the levels, you should be knowing better enough examples. That is how the pattern goes now. A very easy pattern everybody should follow for each of the levels: scavengers, detritivores, omnivores, carnivores, herbivores. What all examples come in? The more you know, the better it is. That's what I would suggest. Why this question was there in news? Possibly because of there is one pattern here, what we understand. They would choose one of the structure, one of the levels in the structure of the ecosystem. Yes, ecosystem. Then they will mention some of the examples. That is how it goes. And in one or the other way, some species would have been in news in 2021, like jellyfish, earthworms, seahorse. For different multiple reasons, it would have been here. That is why this question has been asked. So answer is 1, 3, and 5. And the exceptions are jellyfish and seahorse. So jellyfish and seahorse are consumers, wherein they are macro consumers, of course. They're heterotrophs. They come under omnivores and carnivores level. Both are omnivores we can consider. Okay, so they are not detritivores, and most importantly, they do not feed on dead. They feed on living organisms. They do not come under scavengers. They come above scavengers. So this is like a factual question for us. You should focus on this. Maybe in class, if you have learned well regarding the basic concepts, this is an easy question for you. Anyway, as we are focusing on the pattern more rather than answering the questions, moving on to the next one, we'll see the pattern now. Now look at this question. They're asking which of the following, this is asked in 2021. Okay, the same question, same year we have. Which of the above are primary producers of the ocean? Primary producers here refers to, can you tell me? Primary producers are nothing but producers itself. To confuse you, they'll give primary producers. There is no such thing called as, even if they put primary or secondary, producers are producers ultimately, right? Photosynthetic organisms are producers. Any organisms that take up photosynthesis are producers. Now they are asking of the oceans. The answer would be, this also have taken in class for you. One takeaway from this question is, sometimes to make the question paper a little bit difficult or to increase the standard, they might use some biological scientific names to make it look more biological, okay? Though from the ecology perspective, because we have IFS and IAS, other civil service exams all combined here. So it helps the IFS officers because the weightage should be given. That is where somewhere some core biology questions will be asked. If at all the options are given like this, it is easier for you because you can eliminate and write. Only trouble is if they go for only 1, only 2, only 3, then you might have to think about it, or else it's fine. Okay, your answers are, let me look into your answers. So you have B. Okay, so which first always go for which is more familiar to you, which word is more familiar to you in the options. That will give you little relief. Okay, I know this. Then go for elimination if such questions are given. I hope everybody have an idea about cyanobacteria, which is blue-green algae, right? Blue-green algae. Everybody knows blue-green algae. So it is blue-green algae. Algae itself is a producer, so we can consider that. So let's pick up only A and B here. Let's totally forget about C and D. Now we have to decide between whether it is 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. Okay. One suggestion, simple suggestion is, if you have no idea about the entire question, no idea about the entire options, all the options, don't take a risk. Not even heard once in your lifetime. It's better to skip that question. That is what I suggest. But if you want to try it out, then only go for this. Yes. So diatoms also is one of the popular examples for producers. We go for 2 and 3. 2 and 3B is the right answer. Okay, yes. 1 and 4 is copypods and foraminifera. Copypods are consumers. They are not producers. Like any other organisms, like better to say in a better word, what I would call is, we use the words in water, in ocean, water, any aquatic body. We write the food chain as phytoplanktons, that is the producers, okay, followed by zooplanktons, the consumers, right? Phytoplanktons and zooplanktons. So producers are phytoplanktons here. The copypods, what I told you, the consumer are zooplanktons. They are the example for zooplanktons, or simply to say, they are the example for consumers, not for producers. It's one of the examples. Foraminifera is also comes under, if not zooplanktons, they come under the heterotrophic organisms only. They come under secondary consumers. They are also consumers only. They are not producers. Like that. The takeaway, the suggestion from this kind of question is, whenever you learn a topic in static part, as much as possible, go for learning. Learn more examples. Try to recollect, try to remember. That is the only way out for us. For some questions, we have to put a lot of effort. For some questions like what we saw in the previous, you just have to have a logic, a common sense, basic common sense. That will do. For some, you have to put an effort. Here is the effort I'm asking for, where you have to remember the examples better. A list of examples for each category. So what are we learning from here is, hope you got one of you asked the question, hope you got the idea. Copepods and foraminifera are the consumers. Okay. Phytoplanktons are their photosynthetic, they are producers. Next level, they are consumers. So what did we see in the previous question? They asked about detritivores. Here they are asking about the producers. Same topic, examples in different way. This is one pattern. Look at this question. Okay, we have different thing. Two more questions have been asked like this in the similar pattern. Either they'll go for producers, either they'll go for consumers, or any level. So the levels of the structure, levels of the ecosystem are, we start from producers. You know this well, right? Producers. Then we have consumers, which include herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, scavengers, detritivores, and at last we have decomposers. These are all macro, which is visible. This is one micro. If you know the structure properly, now your part is to learn examples for each of this, and especially which is in news. You can go some general examples and also focus on the examples in the news. That is what you have to follow. Okay. So these two questions we have taken for you to understand that every level go for. Foraminifera are single-celled organisms, but they are not. It is not about whether they are multicellular or single-cellular. The demand of the question is, what do they do in the food chain? Do they produce or do they consume? Okay. Here it does not matter. In ecology, in food chain, it is not about how they are structured. It is about what do they do? What is their role? Okay. Moving on. Now, again, we have that pattern. I told you some. Tell me the answer. Now, what would be the answer for us now? Some mushrooms have medicinal property. Some mushrooms have psychoactive property. Yes. You got the pattern right? There I told you, it is a no-brainer. You don't even have to worry about it. If they give like this, it is true. Some is the word here. If they give only, then yes, factually you have to know. Don't even worry about it. Like this pattern. Recently, 2 years back, it's been asked. That means you're saved at least for one question. And now, UPSC's fondness towards mushrooms, or UPSC's fondness towards fungi. I'm talking about fungi. Sorry, some problem with my pen, I guess. Screen. Okay. First question, what did we see? There we had fungi. Mushroom just belongs to the same family or kingdom, what we call a fungi, fungus, right? Why mushrooms are in news? Why it is so popular in exam or wherever we see? Because the entire year we had questions. Entire year, news on it. Let's complete this question first, then I'll tell you what you have to learn for the upcoming exam. Some mushrooms have medicinal properties. True. Some mushrooms are used in medicines. Best example would be, what is a classic example for fungi having a medicinal property? Penicillin. That's a classic example, right? Some mushrooms have psychoactive properties. Yes, there are psychedelics mushrooms. How other drugs work, mushrooms are also psychoactive. They do have psychoactive properties, and they are the most expensive species. In some places they are sold and it is illegal to do that. Like any other narcotics, how we consider, some mushrooms are banned from selling or trading or preserving, whatever it is. Second one is correct. Insecticidal property, yes, we have some mushrooms work as controlling insects. Some mushrooms have it. Some mushrooms have bioluminescent, what we call as magic mushrooms or glowing mushrooms. In Karnataka also we have, in Dandeli, some places, in Maharashtra, all these tropical forests, we have most of the mushrooms are bioluminescent. The organisms which glow within, which give out their own light, are called as bioluminescent. Now, answer is all four. Okay. Now the takeaway, most important part is it is done. The question has been asked. But for the future exam, the upcoming exam, what you should go for? What was in the news? Let's focus on that. Now, some of the topics such as what you have to look into is mushroom cultivation was in news. Okay, go for it. Try to understand about it. Mushroom cultivation. I would suggest for you to go through this mushroom cultivation. Then we had new species of mushrooms in Western Ghats was in news. We had, and maybe there can be a question based on or asked on the properties of mushrooms. Again, what we see here, the same pattern would continue in a different way, or I would say going to the very detailed part of it. What are mushrooms basically? And we call them, mushrooms are also called as toadstool, because we know the shape of the mushroom, right? It looks like a small stool. So toadstool, toad is like frog's stool, we say, which sits on it. That's why it is called as toadstool. And the parts of the mushroom are three parts. When we say mushroom here, we have three parts, which what we call as stem. Okay, we have a gills or gill, we can say, and a cap. A stem, gill, and a cap. Gill is to breathe the middle part of it. So maybe questions on that, the basic properties. Then they are, yes, cap, gills, and stem. Then they are heterotrophic. Remember, they are not autotrophs. If it is going technical for us, we know trophic, or the organisms are classified into autotrophs and heterotrophs. So these are heterotrophs, which feed on the other organisms, which consume the other organisms. So they are heterotrophs basically, that you can conclude. And this is not the first time question on mushrooms have been asked. We have seen fungi has been asked, and we have one more question was asked. I don't know whether it is added here in this. Let us see that. Gucci, question on Gucci, mushroom, which is a very old question again, not so old, 2019, I guess. Gucci is recently seen in news. What is it exactly? This was asked in the past. So what is the pattern today? Now, what do we see? Fungi as an important topic, asked in multiple ways. That is what we are analyzing here. Hope you got the point, right? So fungi or fungus is an important area where we have to focus on. And here Gucci was asked, and this is where we come to a conclusion wherein fungus or mushrooms, whatever you see in news is important. Moving on. Next question. This question we have discussed in the class, but yet again, some of you will be knowing. Waggle dance. What is the takeaway from this? And you are looking at this question. I told you in the initial areas itself. What did we look into? Wasps was one of the options, and we still see that. Okay, it is still relevant, very much relevant in the exam. That means that trying to figure out, okay, keeping wasps somewhere, even though it is an incorrect option here. The actual answer is honeybee. What you're answering is correct. All of you are answering, it is correct. Which of the following organisms perform waggle dance for others of their kin to indicate the direction and the distance to a source of their food? Honeybees are right. You might have heard about it, waggle dance and all that. Class also have discussed the same. Waggle dance is a mode of communication, interaction with their fellow honeybees to mention or indicate where the food is present and what is the distance by dancing. They literally don't dance, they move in a shape, eight shape we say. So waggling, it looks like waggling for us, wherein it provides information to their fellow beings saying that, okay, this is where the direction where they are sitting and pointing towards from their back side of the pelvic part of the insect, would suggest that this is the direction where the other honeybees has to go and collect the food. This is a very interesting, fascinating factor about honeybees. Not only honeybees, different species communicate or interact in different way. This is one example. Why did they give this question in 2023? Again, the reason was a newly discovered species. Okay, species. Which means in Western Ghats, a black honeybee was discovered, which was called as Apis carinjodian. The name of the species was Apis carinjodian. Apis, the genus name we have. Black honeybee was discovered, wherein the honey is more nutritious when compared to Apis indica. It was said. They did not ask about Western Ghats. No question on black honeybee. Rather, honeybee itself is the focus. And still, they have retained options such as butterflies, dragonflies, wasps. So my analysis, what I would suggest for you is, so far the questions are asked on honeybees, butterflies, even wasps. Okay, even wasps are there in the 2020-24 question is there. But dragonflies, so far it is not asked. So why can't we expect that maybe we have to be prepared for this particular insect now? Because when I look back, it is mellifera. Okay, Apis mellifera. Carinjodian, why I told you, because it was the term was given in the Western Ghats because of curry is a black as part of Western Ghats. That is where the scientific name was given. If I'm not wrong, this is what I remember from the memory. That's if my memory serves me right. Okay. As I was telling you, dragonflies. About this particular insect, it was all over the news from past 1 year. And I would suggest for you to focus on dragonflies this time, possibly. Still focus on all this, but also give importance to this. The same statement I would repeat. Previous year options, one of the options can be upcoming year's question, provided it is in the current affairs. Okay. Yes. Now, what did we have regarding dragonflies? My suggestion to you to go through the news. So dragonflies, wasps also it was in news regarding dragonflies. These are the insects, or what we call as the faces of the wetlands. We say mostly they are found in wetlands, in freshwater system, freshwater bodies. And what is their importance? Dragonflies have unique functions wherein they feed on the mosquito larva, where they can help us or environment in controlling the population of mosquitoes. So their main prey base is the mosquito larva, the eggs. And wherever water clogging or wetlands are there, that is where we find this dragonflies. So if water is present, dragonflies are present, is a healthy environment, we say. Okay, that's why we said dragonflies are bioindicators, or they are considered as indicator species, we can call them. Okay, they are the faces of the wetlands. It's the face of the wetlands, we say, like one brand ambassador of a wetland or a water body, we can consider. What is their unique function? We can say, unlike or like some of the species or insects in the insect world, butterflies, or in amphibians, in frogs and all, they go through a process called as metamorphosis. Metamorphosis, wherein, yes, dragons controlling insect population, it is their role in the environment. Metamorphosis is they have different stages in their life cycle, like how butterflies, they have this larval stage, or when we say they are in their nymphal stage also, we can say. In their stage, what they do is they feed more on the other insects, which they help in controlling them. That is one thing. And the way they predate on the other insects is they use their legs to catch their prey. And striking feature is they do so in flight, while flying. They do not sit and attack, or they do not feed on the insects, which is while sitting and attacking them, the moving one or the stagnant one. The way of the attacking mode is in flight, while they are flying, and they also, the prey is in flight. That is how they catch the prey or eat their prey, and they use their legs. I'm just giving some hint. So it was in news, some articles were in news, the astonishing features of the dragonflies, what is their importance and all that. Basic science and tech kind of articles were there. So all the 4 options are important here, I would say. Yeah, ability to fly in any direction. So you add on more points to it. Okay. Yes. So this is my suggestion for you. Go through all the 4 options and focus on that. Then moving on. Now, again, what do we have here? Butterflies. One might think, how, what is this fondness towards butterflies? Why it is so important? Everywhere, 2023, 2017, everywhere we have butterflies, everywhere, literally. Anyway, last year's question it is. Okay. Now the pattern, you can see the question, the way it is set up. It is no 1, 2, 3, 4 and all for you to eliminate easily. It is a different thing. And you should know which one of those. When you're answering, also tell me which one of the species you're eliminating or considering in your answers. Please mention that as well. Yes. You go for C, all 3. How many of the above has a poisonous, other poisonous species among? To the question, have poisonous species among them? Butterflies, fish, and frogs. So do we have poisonous butterflies, poisonous fishes, poisonous frogs? Asked last year. Answer is, some of you have mentioned it is C. Only 2. Okay. All three have, yes, all have poisonous species. Each of the examples, if you have to go for, C is the right answer. Okay. So butterflies, I would take an example of monarch butterfly. Monarch butterfly. Fish, I would go for puffer fish, taking example from each. And frogs, I would go for dart, blue dart or dart frogs. Okay, which secrete poison in their skin, puffer fish, as I've told you. So in different way, they try to defend themselves from their predators. Butterflies, monarch butterflies, I'm talking about, which is known for their migration. The longest migration or the migratory butterflies, these are in Mexico, North America. So they feed on a weed called as milkweed. So that is where they get their poison from, butterflies. Fish, puffer fish. Puffer fish was in news, frogs and dart frogs. Some studies say that we do not have a lethal kind of very venomous frogs in India, but they can be poisonous. They are poisonous means they're secreting poison, but they cannot be as deadly as what we see in Amazon or any other forest in other continents. But we do have some of the species here and there, we do have. But you might wonder why this random question of butterfly, fish, and frogs, why this question is being asked. The idea here is, what I would think or I would analyze is, this puffer fish was in news. I still remember even teaching and studying this puffer fish species, and it was caught in some of the coastal areas and all, everything was there. There is no hint of puffer fish at all. They just mentioned one random fish, and they have added the previous year topics along with this, wherein focusing on the venomous organisms, venomous species. That is the focus here. So from here, what do we learn is, current affairs can be different, news can be different, and the question, they can make it so simplified and so generalized one. And the takeaway is, butterflies still remain with us all these years. It is still there. You cannot disregard it no matter what. So anywhere, anything you find regarding butterflies, go for it, know more about it, learn more about it, and also go for the leftover options. Okay, this is what we have. We go to the next question. Now, this is also asked in 2024. Very interesting question. 3 different species are asked in 2024. And each of the statements, what they have used here to ask, it is directly taken from the current affairs. And from what topic, I'll tell you, tell me the answer. What is the answer for this question? For each of the statements they have considered, It is directly taken from the news. Okay, what is the answer? D. Okay, D. 1, 2, 3. A. 1 and 2. Okay, I have different answers here. Let me go through the statements first, then we will conclude. Lions do not have a particular breeding season, which is true. So throughout the year they have mating, copulation, wherein they go for this mating activity throughout the year. So they don't do it seasonally, and they do not have any particular season, which is correct. First statement is correct. Unlike most other big cats, cheetahs do not roar, which is true. Which is true. Cheetahs do not roar. We say they purr, P-U-R-R, like cats, house cats, how they purr. That is how they make sounds. So there is no roaring. Definitely not like lions or how they are mentioned, big cats. Big cats include, hope you know, lions, tigers, cheetahs, leopards, different species of leopards, snow leopard, common leopard, and all that. Then, unlike male lions, male leopards do not proclaim their territory by scent marking. Male leopards do not proclaim their territory by scent marking. There is a hint here, there's a point here wherein one has to understand. Now, first statement is right. Second statement is also correct. Male leopards do not proclaim their territory by scent marking. What do you think about that? What do you think about that statement? Is it correct? So leopards do mark their territory. They do it in different ways. So all three are correct. D is the right answer. Okay. Now going back to the source of these statements. Why did they ask about lions and cheetahs and leopards in one particular question? The reason, what I would say, is lion, especially why it was in news, Asiatic lions were in news because the population was increased. We know that Gir forest, Gir landscape is the place in India where we find them in their natural habitat. So IUCN changed its status, lion status, from being endangered to vulnerable. Okay, that was in news, vulnerable. Second thing is cheetahs do not roar. Why cheetahs? So many things, so many news about cheetah. I mean, so many articles published about cheetahs. We brought it from Namibia, we reintroduced the cheetahs, and everything else was there. What did they ask? They went for the basic behavioral aspect. Cheetahs do not roar. As simple as that. What is the takeaway here? Whenever you learn about the species, know their behavioral aspects. Very important. So the news is different. They go for the behavioral aspect. When it comes to leopards, unlike male lions, male leopards do not proclaim their territory. Male leopards do, female also do. Female cats also do that. So why leopards? According to the recent study, leopard population in India is increasing. And throughout the year, we saw leopard human or human leopard conflict, human animal conflict. Leopards in Mumbai, leopards in Karnataka, Bangalore, Banerghatta, Bandipur, I mean, in and around the places, we are witnessing them. So over a period of time, because of the leopard's versatility, their flexibility to stay and survive in any kind of environment, they can scale the high walls, okay, big walls. They feed on the stray dogs or anything that is available in and around them, unlike other big cats. So they are very agile, very active. All this was mentioned in the news. So they went for the basic behavioral aspect. So big cats was in news. What is the takeaway for you here is, I would suggest go for this current affairs thing which was in news, that is Big Cat Alliance program, recently in news. Okay, that I would suggest you go through that. Big Cat Alliance, and anything to do with tigers is like normal. It is like always it's been asked. Lions, they have asked once in a while. Cheetahs, because of cheetahs reintroduction. So do one thing, all the big cats, anything in the news would be important for us. And this program wherein India also have joined, right? Big Cat Alliance. I would suggest this topic for you to go through, wherein from this question, okay, from this part. Moving on. Next question. Now, parasitoid, I just mentioned Okay, try answering this question, which was asked in 2024. Parasitoid species. What is the answer for this? Yes. Parasitoid means parasitic, you know, right? It is dependent on other organisms for their survival. Only 2, only 3, only 4, all 5. Over the years, they have stopped asking 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how the pattern looks like. And you should be very careful about it. 1, 3, and 5. Okay. Which species depend on others for their survival in these this list, particularly this list? Carabid, beetles, flies, termites, wasps. Yes. If you are mentioning only 1, 3 and all that, make sure that you also tell me which have you chosen. Okay. Flies, termites, and wasps. Yes. Right. So that's the right answer, wherein we go for, that is 3, 4, and 5. These are parasitic, which depends on the other organisms. And you can see here clearly, what do we have? The fondness towards wasps by UPSC still there. Somehow they'll make sure that they're going to bring this in. You're just witnessing by yourself, wherein we have this these species continuously. That is our hint. That is the only reason why we analyze previous year question papers, to understand the pattern and also connect with the news. Okay, so flies, termites, wasps, all these, they use other species to lay their eggs in other insects place, habitat, or on them, or within them. I told you wasps, parasitoid wasps were recently in news, right? That was recently in news. So that is how it works. So beetles and centipedes, they do not support, they are not host species for any other organisms. So they are basically they are independent of any species. That's why we do not consider 1 and 2. We go for 3, 4, and 5. But apart from any other things, rather than answering the question, remember that wasps are important, and other species, maybe you have to focus on this one, beetles. Maybe, possibly, I have found some articles in the past 1 year. Maybe you can go through beetles and wasps here. Again, a repeated pattern. These are all part of the question itself, not so important unless it is that. Termites was also asked once, but what is the repetition here? Wasps. Okay. Yes. The next, okay, this is a repeated question. We will go to the biodiversity part, some of the questions, which is more diverse. Speaking of the biodiversity part, we had thought, up until recently, we thought that when it comes to biodiversity, we always have to focus on Indian flora and fauna. Lately, they are bringing in some of the global level species as well in the questions that we are going to see now. In some questions that we have inserted here, wherein it might help you in understanding the pattern. So let's delve into the first question. That is what I've mentioned in 2024. Country and animal round in its natural habitat, or found, sorry, there is a spelling mistake here. Found, okay. Can you tell me the answer? None? Okay. Any other answers you have? Have you ever heard of it? The thing is, some idea about some species here and there you should have, or else this question can be difficult. My students here, some of them whom I have taught here, if you remember, this is the first story I ever tell for all the batches. Elk in North America, if you ever remember. That is where all the other topics starts. So definitely elks are found in, if you can guess one at least. Elks are found in where? Found where? North America, okay, some part of Europe. So others, when we speak of others, the answer is none, which is correct. Okay, you might be wondering, okay, everything we are getting it, but why should we study species at the global level? What is the point, right? Okay, first one, Indri. Indri is one lemur species. Lemur, if you know about it, lemurs. Lemurs have multiple, different species under them. This is the largest of all the lemurs, only found in Madagascar, the largest island of Indian Ocean, Madagascar. You have Indri. Indri looks like one actual human being sitting on the tree. That size it can grow. Only thing is the ears and the hairs or the fur, too much fur. But it is like, apart from that, the facial features. Apart from that, almost if you look at once, Indri looks like a normal adult, one human adult sitting on the tree. That is how it looks like. And they're endemic to Madagascar. So Brazil is not the right answer. We negate it or eliminate it. Indonesia, no. Indonesia and elk, two different worlds apart there. So elks are found in North America. This is incorrect. Madagascar, bonobo monkeys are found in Congo, Central African region, Congo. So this is also incorrect. So answer is none. Okay. Now coming back to my first question, why should we know about this? How will we know that? Should we study all the global species? This will be a question. Usually mentors or in class, I would say that always give importance to India's flora and fauna. But here there is no India's flora and fauna. None of them are. And it is recently asked, 2024. Where is the clue for us? What is the source for us? Okay. So the clue for us here is any global report on wildlife, declining wildlife, endangered wildlife. In that, there will be mention of these species in the article. I'm not asking you to go through the entire report. When you come across these reports in the news, that is very important for us. So my analysis as per here is WWF's report. Okay, WWF's report, which suggested, sorry, WWF's report, which says that one of the recent reports, which is called as a Nature's Living Planet report. Nature's Living Planet report was recently in news. In that, it showed that at least 60 to 70% of the species are under decline, and some of the endemic species are under decline, which are found only in particular place, like bonobo monkeys in Congo, elks in North America. Elks, okay, they're herbivores, they're doing good, but Indri, which is in Madagascar. So some names will be mentioned. That is where they take up the clue from. So what is your takeaway from here? If there is any report, global report from the global organizations, you should focus on it. Okay, and we cannot only sit and think about only Indian flora and fauna. Also go through such kind of news, which can help you a lot in these kind of questions. Okay, so WWF's Nature's Living Planet report, that is what I suggest you to look into. Nature's Living Planet report. Okay, go through this was in news recently. That's my suggestion to you. And anything that is of new species, new species in the sense, one more thing maybe as a suggestion I'm telling you, horseshoe crab was recently in news. Horseshoe crab, which is considered as a living fossil. This particular horseshoe crab, okay, so this was found in Odisha's coast recently, last year, and a few articles were published in different newspapers. I would suggest for you to go through it, and anything and everything around it. Different species, unique species can be asked. So this is the takeaway from here. Report is what your source is. Then, okay, this is repeated. We go to the next one. 2013's question. Which among the above are endangered? Very basic, very simple question. The reason we have considered this question is not because of the simplicity of the question, rather the species. Gharial, leatherback turtle, swamp dip. All are asked repetitively, these three species. So these are important. But for this year, I would suggest focus more on leatherback turtle. You will be knowing why. Why should we focus on leatherback turtle? Or give me the answer first, then we will discuss. What is the answer? What is the answer for this question? Yes. C. All three. How many of them are endangered? Endangered, there is one thing about this question. They have not asked about IUCN endangered. Endangered, which are threatened. That is the question. Don't get confused about IUCN status. Don't underthink or overthink. What is given in the question, take it on the face value. So gharial, leatherback turtle, swamp deer, are they endangered? Yes, they are endangered. You go by IUCN, different terms are there. They are critically endangered. Critically endangered, endangered, vulnerable, and all that. So answer is all three. Very old question. 2013 it's been asked. So we go for all three. So C is the right answer. Okay. Now coming to this year's exam, I would suggest you to go through leatherback turtle. Swamp deer, twice it's been asked. Okay, swamp deer, the entire question was focused on swamp deer. Swamp deers are also called as, what is the other name of swamp deer? Bharasinga. Question on Bharasinga was already asked. That's my point. That's what I was telling you. A swamp deer is vulnerable, not endangered, you're telling, right? You are going by the IUCN factor. But the question is not asking about under IUCN are they endangered. That means even gharial is not endangered. They are critically endangered. Get the point here? Swamp deer is vulnerable. Leatherback is critically endangered. Gharial is critically endangered. So if you are going by that part, it is incorrect. That's why I told you what is asked. Just focus on that. Which of the following are under IUCN categorization? Then go for it. Okay. Yes. Oh, so swamp deer is called as Bharasinga. It is repetitively asked, so it is an important species. Gharial, of course, yes. Critically endangered. The only freshwater crocodile in India. Very unique. Fish-eating crocodile also we call them. So all the three are important. But more important would be leatherback turtle. Why leatherback turtle? Because of the Nicobar project recently that has been undertaken in Nicobar Island. Everything and anything about this turtle should be studied upon, or maybe the geographical condition of where the turtles are found. So if you can add some inputs here, it would be great. Have you come across this in the news? Have you come across about, leatherback turtle or Great Nicobar project? Either way, it can be regarding the project or maybe regarding the species. Any questions can be expected. Though, see, 2013 it is mentioned means it is important. Anything you can give me your inputs about this particular, what do you call, species? Okay, I'll just add some inputs for you, and then remaining you can go through. So a leatherback turtle, once I've mentioned now, these are the largest of all the turtle species. Even the largest, the giant leatherback turtle would grow up to 6.5 feet, and it can weigh up to almost like 600 kgs. One can only imagine, like, right? If you have seen one, okay, but 680 kgs approximately, and 6.5 feet it can grow. That is the size of the leatherback turtle. So the largest of all, we just saw that leatherback turtles feeding on jellyfishes. Saltwater crocodile, it is the largest reptile. Okay, I'll just clear your doubt. Let me complete this, okay? I'll tell about leatherback turtle and then I'll compare the saltwater turtle, crocodile and turtle. Now the size you should know. And they are nesting and mating. And where do they come from? Where are they found in India? In India, especially in the Nicobar Island, they are found. Okay, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, they are found. So they come from all the way from Australian coast. They go back to the same place, Australia and Africa. They come from different coasts to India to nest. Nest in the sense, what do we call? Yes, nesting. Okay, mass nesting we do not see. In the case of olive ridley turtle, we see mass nesting, right? Mass nesting coming together. They do migrate. They are the migratory species, but we do not see as much of the mass nesting like olive ridley turtle. But they do end up in the Indian coast or the islands especially. And in Nicobar, one of the places, one of the protected areas I would call Galathea. Galathea Bay is their like focused area. How we say olive ridley turtle means it is Odisha, right? Gahir Mata, Bitarkanika, Rushikulya, all these are the places for olive ridley turtle. Galathea is the place or the location they choose for every year where they end up. And unfortunately, this is the place where Indian government has also chosen for its infrastructure project. Now, it is a bit controversial. So, economically viable, ecologically disastrous, it could be. So, geographically, focus on it. Ecologically, on the leatherback turtle, you have to focus on it. So, all this will matter. So, that is what I would suggest for you. Focus more on leatherback turtle. They are critically endangered when it comes to IUCN. They feed on jellyfish. They are, what do you call, carnivores. They are carnivores, and their size and their nesting places in Indian Ocean, they end up in, apart from Andaman, where else? Indonesia, Sri Lanka, these places. Some of the things I have mentioned. So this is your takeaway from this part. Okay. Well, we'll take up this question and we'll take a short break after this. Coral reef. Coral reef is one default topic. I don't even have to say that read coral reefs, mangroves, and wetlands. I always tell my students saying that these three are like trio: coral, wetlands, and mangroves. So no second thoughts about it. Mains and prelims, anything and everything, literally you have to know. Okay. So coral reefs are found in tropical waters, which is true. Or you can tell me the answer. Give you a minute. What is the answer for this? Okay. I'm sorry. One of you asked me regarding crocodiles, right? While you answer, I'll explain that. Okay. He said, what about crocodiles when compared to turtles? Crocodiles can grow up to 7 to 8 feet tall. And long. I'm sorry, long. And saltwater crocodiles in different places, different rivers. We have Niles. In Egypt, we have saltwater crocodile. In India, we have saltwater crocodiles in Bitarkanika. In different South America, we have saltwater crocodiles. Basically, the longest reptile would be saltwater crocodiles. It is not Indian, Egyptian, not like that. Saltwater crocodiles are the largest of all the reptiles on Earth. So they can grow up to 7 to 8 feet. And even turtles also come under reptilia reptiles. This is the largest of all. They can grow up to 6. So we would say that this is the second largest or longest. Hope it is clear, right? So what was your doubt? Anything else I have missed out? A megapod, it should be extant. It should not be extinct. Megapods. Okay, megapods, you're talking about the bird, if I'm not wrong. Nicobar megapod. Okay. Nicobar megapod is also part of Galathea, Nicobar Island. The bird. It has also been asked once in the exam, very long back. You should consider that as well with the leatherback turtle. So your answers are D, C and D. Okay. All the three are right about this. Coral reefs host far more animal phyles or phylums than those hosted by tropical rainforest. All the species are there, and we do call they are the underwater tropical rainforest as well. So they are the foundation species. So anything that is positive regarding coral reefs are right, and you don't even have to think about it. And factually, it is correct. So we go for D as the answer. Okay, these are basic questions before they used to ask, and we cannot, miss out it. It is still important. Corals are important. So recent updates, if you have anything regarding corals, we can go for. So here we have completed some questions now. We will take a break for like say 10 minutes and we will get back. Okay, we'll continue with the rest of the questions. Okay, and till now, whatever I have suggested, the topics from the current year, please go through that and update on it. We'll get back by 5:40, right? Okay. We shall get back. shall continue. So next question I had already put up on the screen. Hope you have an answer. Try answering. The focus is on the species musk deer. The reason, because of the illegal trade of the musk for its fragrance used in perfume industry. And here we have to find out what is its habitat. If you know a bit of details regarding musk deer, you would guess that musk deer, which is with fur or thick fur, would end up in, or it will be having its habitat in the higher altitude or maybe in the cold regions or cold places. Okay, you have to guess this first. I'm telling you the technique. Then if you know any of the places here which is familiar to you, go for it first, then go for elimination, then you might arrive at the right answer. For this is factual knowledge, nothing else here. And the geography, a bit of geography is required. Some questions can be asked like this, you should be very careful about it. So anyway, we will answer this question. We have answers A, rolla A. Okay, 1 and 2. Okay, can you also tell me where do we have these places? Ascot Wildlife Sanctuary, in itself it is known as Ascot Musk Deer Wildlife Sanctuary. When we have learned about wildlife sanctuary, we have also understood that wildlife sanctuaries are for the conservation or the protection of the wildlife, wild animals. Most of the wildlife sanctuaries in India, we have 573 wildlife sanctuaries in India and counting. It might be updated also. Mostly they focus on a particular species which require conservation, and they are conserved, protected in their natural habitat. So Ascot Musk Deer Wildlife Sanctuary it is, so, which is obviously true, which is correct. And where do we have it? In Uttarakhand. We have it in Uttarakhand. Okay. Then Gangotri National Park is also in Uttarakhand, and Gangotri, Uttarakhand, you can connect cold place, musk deer possible. Manas, it is a very popular one. It is a no-brainer. It will be easy for you to guess. Might be you should be knowing that whether musk deer is present. So Manas is in Assam. Nothing to do with musk deer. It is not its natural habitat. So it is not. Manas is known for rhino population. It is more of a grassland, a semi-arid type of grassland or a lush grassland, unlike the other grasslands. Because deers or herbivores mean you should know the habitat as well. Now, what about this Kishanpur Wildlife Sanctuary? Where do we have it? I mean, where do we have it? That is UP, Uttar Pradesh. I would suggest you to look into this particular place wherein it is part of Dudhwa Wildlife Sanctuary. Dudhwa Tiger Reserve, which is in Uttar Pradesh. Known for tiger population, a very good number of tiger population. Kishanpur is a integral part of this Dudhwa Tiger Reserve. Here it is pure geography. You should be knowing the places properly. You should, as much as possible, you should, the more you hear familiar with the names, you will guess it easily. And then you can connect with the species. That is how it works in some questions. So we have different techniques for different questions. Now, what do we have in Kishanpur apart from, or Dudhwa Tiger Reserve, tigers of course, Kishanpur Wildlife Sanctuary or Dudhwa Tiger Reserve, this comes in a region called as Terai region. Terai, you might have heard, Terai grasslands, Terai region, which is a marshy grassland. This Terai region itself, which falls between India and Nepal, the places between India and Nepal, Terai region, distributed across these two places, these two countries, is known for the tall grassland, which is inundated, which is flooded by water, the river flow from the Himalayan rivers, and that is why it is so nutrient rich. And here is also the place we find, just now we saw Barasinga, that is swamp deer. We see rhinos and elephants and Bengal florican, one more bird which was in recently in news. You can go through that as well. Bengal florican. Let me write here. Florican. Okay. Florican belongs to bustard species. Great Indian bustard, you'll be knowing. They belong to the same family. All these are found in Kishanpur in the Terai region. Maybe you have to focus on this as per my point of view, I would say. And but okay, it is purely based on the places in news. Now moving on. Next question. This is one very popular question. It will be easier for you to answer anyway. Try answering this. The leader of an elephant group is a female. So matriarchy prevails in elephant herds. The maximum gestation, that is pregnancy gestation period, can be 22 months. It is usually 18 to 22 months, which is also correct. An elephant can normally go on calving till the age of 40 years only, which is true. It's like the fertility decreases. So the fertility is at its peak from 16. When the female elephants are fertile from the age of 16 to 40, all are purely factual, very factual. I'll tell you why this was in news in question was in 2020. Among the states in India, the highest elephant population is in Kerala. We know that Karnataka has the highest number of elephants, almost 6,000 odd. Now, all the statements except for fourth statement, it is incorrect, right? Okay, what do we have here? One correct. Okay, leader of an elephant group is a female. First statement is right. Then we have 22 months, 40 years only. So what was your answers? Let me see your answers first. Elephant can live 60 to 80 years. Okay. Now calving here refers to what do you call the age to give birth. Okay. Yes. Let me check your answers. Okay. So we have 1 and 2, 2 and 4. Your answer was D, 1, 3 and 4. The maximum gestation period can be 22 months. So we are not considering second option. Okay. So it should be 22 months itself. So wherein because the maximum gestation period is given, usually it is considered 18 months. 18 months is the actual, I would say, 1 and 2. We have option as 1 and 2. I'm just collecting your answers, then I'll answer. I'll give you the right answer here. We have A, we have D, 1 and 2. We know fourth is incorrect. So we will eliminate B and D here. We have to either go with A or C. So carving, what I've told you as of now is, it can go beyond 40 years is what some of you are mentioning. Okay, we will go with 1 and 2. 40 years go on carving till the age of 40 years only. Okay, that is where the correction here is. Even I was confused. Okay, fine. First is correct. Second is also right. We can take the approximate range at 18 to 22 months. Okay, this is Karnataka. Even in the order also, if you go, it is Karnataka, Assam, and Kerala. This is the order of elephants as per the recent census. Now the trouble with the option 3, because this is incorrect, this is incorrect. Why it is incorrect? Because the word only. 40 years is normal, but it is not the ultimate thing. It is not that elephants will end up giving birth to their younger ones or become fertile only up to age of 40. It will start from 16, but it can, in some elephants, we can even an elephant. It is not that Asiatic elephant or it is African elephant. It can go beyond 40. There are exceptions in nature, I told you. That is why third statement is incorrect, because in the entire statement, the tricky word is only here. That is where we have to be very careful about it. Okay, so 1 and 2 is the answer. Now coming back to the source of the question, why did they ask about this Indian elephants? Okay, Indian elephants is also given correctly, clearly it is given. Even sometimes, see, even if it is, we analyze so much and learn also, we overlook the question itself. I keep telling students, we always focus on A, B, C, D, which one we should go for. We forget about the first instruction, we forget about the statements, we only focus on A, B, C, D, just to mark in the OMR. So even I am included in this now. So I overlooked the words here. Only an Indian elephants, yes. The question was asked because in 2018-19, the previous census. Recently, there was one more report. 19, there was one census, I mean, elephant census survey. Once in 5 years, the census is conducted. In that, some reports, I mean, some points, limitations we have seen. How elephants are counted in India, what are the methods we follow, whether all the states in India are following the scientific method to count elephants, because there are two types, direct counting and indirect counting. And Kerala had undercounted almost 2000 elephants, not included, it was off the record. All these issues were there, it was a bit of controversy, and it was in editorial and various other articles in different newspapers. One more thing is, during that period, 18, 19, 20, that period itself, if you remember, a big issue, it became a national issue, wherein in Kerala, the same place, wherein elephants were fed with crackers, firecrackers. So that was one disheartening, I mean, what's say, disappointing event that took place, incident that took place, and that became a national issue as well. So no controversies, no criticisms. They went for facts. They went for the facts on elephants. Though it was the news on census and death of the elephants, and elsewhere in the world also, in Africa also. So this is where we have expected. And elephants, lately they have stopped asking from past 3 years. This was the last question, what I have seen. Yet it can be important. And the takeaway, the pattern from this question, what we see is, know the factual thing. Very, very, I mean, basic facts. Behavioral aspect, as we saw, waggle dance, it is one fact. Likewise, species factual information should be known. There's their gestation, their fertility, their habitat, right? How do they live? And a very unique feature of the elephants is the matriarchy, or what's say, the female elephant leads the, what's say, the entire herd, we can say. Next, going to the next question. This I've already mentioned under mushroom. So our very favorite mushroom have come back again in the question now. So we have seen fungi, we have seen mushrooms. Regarding mushrooms, we have seen one as one of the options. In 2022, Gucci, this was in news because of its nature. I mean, some of the features. Okay. If you can recollect, if you have analyzed this question before, you can try answering this question. What is the answer? C. Okay. Gucci, I'll tell you. Now it is easier for us because I've mentioned that you might have, this question has been there. This is one, if you go by the difficulty level, it can be medium to tough. Medium to tough level. We have easy questions, we have medium difficulty, we have tough, really very tough. So we can place this in medium to tough questions, because out of the blue, some random word appears in the question paper. Very difficult to guess, unless and until maybe luckily you have come across that and you can recollect in the exam hall, or else it can be little difficult. And we should not take a risk on this. Whenever you find, my suggestion for you is, whenever you find unusual names of the species in the news, collect more information. Okay, Gucci, you might have heard about the apparels and the apparel industry, bags and all that. So this Gucci is different, or Gucci, if you have to pronounce it like that. It is a fungus. It grows in some Himalayan forest areas, which is true, and it is commercially cultivated in the northeastern India. It is false. Himalayan forest, yes. Which part of Himalayas? That is the question now. Uttarakhand, Himachal, Jammu, Kashmir. So it is western Himalayas, not eastern Himalayas. Factual based question. For that, you should know what is this Gucci or Gushi, whatever. So answer is 1 and 2. A very out of the blue question. Still, it is in the pattern. It is relevant for us because it is part of the topic fungi, fungus, mushrooms. Basically, it's a mushroom. It's a yellow morel. The other name of this Gucci is, if you want to add on, morels, we say M-O-R-E-L. R-E-L, yellow morels, they are called. They are little yellowish in color. So it is harvested, the most expensive, very expensive fungi or mushrooms, we can call them, for its psychedelic effect. And it is used in medicine for medicinal purpose as well. Okay, so it is very clear that UPSC is fond of fungi. Moving on. Indian squirrels. This question was asked because of various wild squirrel species in India, whether it is Malabar giant squirrel or grizzled squirrels were in news. So they made it very simple. They used up one species, what we see in our daily life. We have made it, sometimes we feel we have made this exam very complicated. UPSC tries to narrow it down to make it very simple. But of course, sitting on the other side, it is easy for me to tell. When we sit in the exam hall, we know how it works. Yet, let's do our best by understanding the pattern here. Answer is, we have multiple answers, only to B or C. Okay. So squirrels, what we see in our daily life around us every day. They build nests by making burrows in the ground. You will be having two ideas now. Do they make burrows or do they live there? Okay. So the focus is on building nest. Building nest means, do they live there? If they make burrow, or if they making burrow is the first question. Then one more thing is, do they make nest? They do not have their nest inside the soil. They have their nest on the tree like other birds. So making burrow is not the focus here. Do they have their nest in the ground? That is incorrect. No, they have their nest on the tree. It's a fact. Okay, 2 and 3. I have multiple answers here. I'm reading. Yes, good. They store their food materials like nuts and seeds in the ground. This makes you confused now. Do they make burrows? Do they store their food materials like nuts and seeds in the ground? All this will come as a thought to you. So, though they have nest on the tree, they store their food in the soil, which is correct. First is incorrect. Second statement is correct. They are omnivorous. This is also the question where I usually take up in the class, in the initial classes, wherein for you to make you understand the pattern of the exam. And again, I would repeat the same thing. There is more than what meets our eyes, we say, right? So squirrels, whenever we see them, what do we see? They'll be like, in our imagination, we would see that we will imagine, okay, they are eating fruits and nuts, berries or whatever. The same squirrel which feeds on nuts and fruits also feeds on smaller insects, small snakes. Just because we do not know doesn't mean that that is the fact, right? So they are omnivorous. They're omnivores. They are not herbivores. And from this question, what is the takeaway for us? Answer is only 2. Okay, 2 and 3. Second and third statement is correct. First statement is incorrect. So what is the takeaway? What is the learning from this question for us? Again, going back to the same pattern, whenever you see any species in the news, always have to understand that you have to collect all the possible information, basic information. What is their diet? How do they live? Where they live? Right? And I would say this is the topic of niche for us. Niche. What is niche? Unique role of an organism. How do they live? What do they eat? Where do they live? How do they defend themselves? All this will come. So that is a default thing what you have to learn for the exam when the species are in news. So we will move on to the next question. Okay, this question also I take in the class, but try answering. We are changing with the pattern. You can see now we are entering to the different way of asking question. That is both statement 1 and 2 is right. Many have this doubt, this one query, wherein sometimes it is easier when it is two different facts we can answer. But when do we understand whether it is connected or not? When should we go for A and B? That is usually asked. If you have the same doubt, you can tell me. We are going to learn that now. Okay, I'll tell you. There is one trick. Trick means 99.9% it works. You should keep that 1%, 0.1% of element of doubt, but still it works. Okay, let's try that out. What's your answer for this? B. C and D, it is easier to answer. If it is A and B only, if it is easy for you, great. But some will find difficult. When it comes to this C. Okay. Now, marsupials mean what? That is the first question I would ask you. Why it is in news and why it was asked in the exam in 2023? All these questions come in first. So let me tell you the right answer first. Statement 1 is correct. Statement 2 is incorrect. So we will go for Sorry, we'll go for what is it? C. Okay, C is the right answer. If you have given, some of you have given the answer. Now, what are marsupials? Marsupials are the mammals or the organisms which carry their younger ones in their pouched animals, as simple as that. Good. Or we can also, to make it little technical, you would say that they lack true placenta, where usually other mammals have placenta, they lack it, and that is why they carry their younger ones for some period of time until they grow. That is what marsupials are. And marsupials means, the classic example what we get is kangaroo. Kangaroos means immediately we connect it to Australia. That is how it works. Now, thinking that, okay, marsupials mean kangaroos. Kangaroos are found in Australia. So immediately one would say that they are not naturally found in India. Luckily for us, they have used the word naturally. If they have used the statement like this, marsupials are not found in India, then it would have been trickier, because we are trying to take up the, koalas, kangaroos, all are example for marsupials, right? Wombat, then Tasmanian, all are marsupials in a way. I mean, we have other examples also, mostly found in Australia, Oceania continent we say. But why it was asked? Because Indian government had decided in 2021-2022 to take up the conservation of kangaroos, not all marsupials, kangaroos conservation, to introduce them into the zoo, to take up captive breeding because of the illegal trade of these animals. Okay, so we had a part in it, so we decided to take up in ex situ conservation. So when we speak of marsupials, they're not only found in Australia, they're also found in South America, Central America, not multiple species like this, elsewhere as well. So it is not only found in, even if the question statement were given as marsupials are found only in Australia, that is also incorrect. It is also found in, yes, New Zealand, Oceania, I said, South America and all that. So coming back to the source of the question, India's decision to take up captive breeding or ex situ conservation of marsupials, that is specifically kangaroos. Second thing, why it was in news, because illegal smuggling, trade of kangaroos from Australia via Myanmar to India northeast. So no question of smuggling or and I would say illegal trading or a conservation decision taken by India directly went for, not even about kangaroos, directly went for the very core point of the kangaroos, that is marsupials. And definitely it will be in news. It is not that somewhere out of the blue the question has been asked. That is what you have to notice. Maybe for some it will be tricky when we think of the source of the question. If you know it, some basic information you can guess. Second statement, marsupials can thrive only in montane grasslands. We know what is a grassland. What is a grassland? Don't have to break your head so much. Grassland is land which has grasses, grassland. As simple as that. Or dominant vegetation has grass. Okay. Montane grassland means montane. How does it sound? Mountain. Similar. Nothing but the grasslands on the mountain are called as montane grasslands. Now the statement says they can thrive only in montane grasslands with no predators. Can there be any ecosystem with no predators? There will be some vulnerability to an animal, any organism on earth. Every animal has one vulnerability, one weakness, one predator. No doubt in it. Then, okay, even if you say, okay, there because of some troubles, there are no predators also, if you tell that, go for the other part of the statement. Only in montane grasslands. Is Australia, only if you take Australia, is Australia only comprises of grasslands? It has arid region, it has deserts, it has mountains, it has coastal area. So marsupials are widespread across the continent, which is incorrect, logically incorrect again. So we say that statement 1 is right, naturally not found, and statement 2 is incorrect. So the source of the question I've told you already, and again we can understand through this. It is not always about Indian flora and fauna. Even India is remotely related. Negative aspect. One negative aspect we saw, illegal smuggling. Smuggling itself. Illegal smuggling would be oxymoron. Illegal smuggling itself. Then conservation. These two were in the news, and this is how the question works. Okay, a pattern we are trying to understand. Moving on to the next one. Okay, this also I have used in the class. Indian flying fox. Go through the question. It is the focus is on now on the acts. Biodiversity related question, but on the Act, Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Yes, what's the answer? C. C. Okay. Let us break this out. Well, let's understand. The Indian flying fox is also called as what? What is this animal? Mammal. Indian flying fox is bat. Very different name. It has fox which can fly. No, it's a bat, a mammal. Okay. Though it is called as flying fox, these bats are usually fruit bats. Not even some bat which is omnivore. It is a fruit bat which feeds on the fruits in the in the wild, or maybe in the orchards in the gardens and horticultural areas. That is where we see them usually. And why it was in news? There were multiple articles. So these flying foxes have they have found their roosting areas, nesting areas in the horticultural places, wherein they are actually destroying, or it is turned as a threat in the gardens, orchards. That was in the news. And how do they roost? How do they nest? And all some information was given. And trust me, here, statement 1 and 2, the statements how they have used in the question paper is directly taken from the Hindu newspaper article. I even show this in the classroom for you sometimes in the clips. So it is directly taken. The exact statement is taken from the question newspaper. Not even one single simple change they have made. That is where you consider how newspapers are important for your exam. Okay, so they are placed under vermin category, which is true, which was given clearly in the article. Vermin means, we know what are vermin. Vermin is one more area wherein they are repeatedly asked. We have to understand this pattern for us. Vermin. Okay, vermin means any wildlife that can be killed or selectively slaughtered if they are threat to human life and property. If they are threat to us and our property, they are called as vermin. Okay, so vermin, usually the permanent list is small animals are vermin. Okay, not necessarily. It need not be always small animals. Most of you know it. Let me give a brief about it. Okay, if you remember, some of you know it already. Schedule 5 of 1972 Act, which is correct. Okay, that fact is right. I agree on that. Vermin means any wildlife which is a threat to human life and property. Does that mean any wildlife which is threat to us, we can kill them? No. We even use the word in Wildlife Protection Act. We use the word cull. Cull. Cull or culling, not killing, because we have to be guilt free, right? We use selective slaughter. We are not killing them extensively. We are just selectively killing them because the population is on the rise. They are threat to us, and we have no other go. We have to control the population. But in many places, including in some of the states, they consider this is not a feasible option. They even go for injecting or contraception. We say immunocontraception in the sense removing or reducing the fertility of the animals. Again, that also has a problem, because what if it continues to next generation of the animals and it will make all the animals infertile or sterile? That is also a trouble. So in a way, it is a very sensitive issue in India. Okay, so some animals, what they do, they raid orchards like these bats. They raid the agricultural areas. They destroy the crops. Sometimes they attack people, domestic animals, and all that. So it is very difficult for the human beings to coexist there. That is when the government steps in and have given this option for the people, wherein whenever this happens, we can bring them under the list called as, or the tag called as vermin, and we will give you a particular period of time wherein until what time you can cull them. That is, you can kill them. You're not going in search of that animal and killing them. You're just making sure that whenever they are attacking you, in your defense, you can cull them, you can kill them. That is the point, whole point here. And it is not a forever status for these animals. It would change. They would give it for 6 months or 5 months or 1 year, whatsoever. And it is specific to a place. If in Karnataka, let's say wild boar is an issue in Chamarajanagar district, and we got permission from central government. We have to get permission from central government for this. A state government on its own cannot declare. We have to get the permission from central government. And then we declare in Chamarajanagar district, in a particular taluk, vermin is, or say wild boar is considered as vermin, means you can kill them. Killing them is not illegal, because killing any wildlife is illegal. But when it is placed under vermin category, yes, it can impact agriculture. I'll come to that. That's what I'm telling you. So when they are placed in the vermin category, I'm giving an example in Chamarajanagar district, in one of the taluk, where wild boar population is on the rise and they are destroying the crops. Maybe there is some attacks here and there encountering with human beings, and people are fed up of it, and they ask permission from the government. Government gives permission. When permission is given, you can kill them and you are not imprisoned for it. It is not considered as wildlife offense. Let's say it is given for 6 months. Permission is for 6 months. After 6 months, you are killing a wild boar. It is an offense. And the permission is given where? Chamarajanagar district in Karnataka. You cannot go and kill a wild boar in Kerala. You cannot can kill a wild boar in Tamil Nadu or elsewhere, because permission is very limited. That is how it works. So in this way, we are balancing it out. So flying fox, now coming back to the point, statement 1, flying fox, why it was in news, why it was vermin and all that. Fruit bats were in news in 2023-2024. What was the reason? The reason was Nipah outbreak in Kerala. So this was caused. So Indian flying fox or fruit bats were the carrier or the agents of this Nipah outbreak virus. And we had no other go. In order to control this outbreak of the disease, Indian government decided to consider as vermin, so that you can kill bats. Before that, killing bat is also an offense. That is where the statement comes from. I'm telling you the source of the question. Then the Indian flying fox feeds on the blood of the other animals, which is a very funny statement, because it is to trick you. So they also want to have a little fun, right? To trick you and confuse you and all that. Why this might be given like this? Indian flying fox means we will think of, we have our own imagination and imaginary animal in our mind. Okay, so sometimes we might guess, possible they might feed like vampires and all. Some more creative minds are there, so they're providing a platform for that creativity anyway. But don't think like that. You should be knowing what is the takeaway from here. Anyway, you have an answer. I'll complete that and then I'll take you the takeaway. I'll tell you the takeaway. So these things, okay, first statement is correct, second statement is incorrect. Because why second statement is incorrect? I've told you, these are fruit bats. These are frugivorous, we say. What are frugivorous? Feeding on fruits, like herbivores, frugivores. Frugivores mean the species which feed on fruits are called as frugivores. Some hornbills are frugivores, feed on fruits. Okay. So answer is, first statement is correct, second statement is incorrect. Both are two different things, two different facts. That is where we disconnect them and go for the C and D method or C and D pattern. A and B, we will see in the next question. So this is the answer. Now, what is the takeaway for us in this question? The takeaway here is, always know the alternate names of the animals. Whenever you are studying, whenever you are going through the current affairs, one common name is not enough. If at all the fruit bat word was given, the question would have become much easier. Fruit bats feed on the blood of other animals. Makes no sense. So they have given Indian flying fox, right? What is the takeaway here? Knowing about the alternate names. That is the takeaway we can say. And also considering Wildlife Protection Act as a very important topic. Clear? Yes. Any other questions regarding vermin? Please do ask. Now 1972, before the amendment, 2022 the act was amended. Before 2022, vermin was under one of the schedules. We had 6 schedules. In the older act, we had 6 schedules. Now we have 4. Okay. So under 5th schedule was vermin. Today, after the amendment, only 4 are there. And among these 4, there is no vermin category. It is simply added in the act. It is still there, but it is not part of any schedules. Consider this fact. Understand this thing. Okay. Yes. Moving on. We move on to environmental pollution and remedies. Biodiversity, some of the questions we have discussed. We move on to the next one. So it is more of a little technical and scientific things when it comes to pollution and remedies. More of this technology, recent technology, government's initiatives will be asked. So let's go through this question. You might have come across this term, green hydrogen. Some information about green hydrogen is required, and also the facts. Can you try answering this question? Go through this for a minute and answer. Green hydrogen, why it is called as green hydrogen? What is to do with pollution? What is it, a kind of a remedy? Some basic knowledge you should have. And why are we focused on this? See. Okay. Okay, green hydrogen, all 3, yes. All 3 are correct. Okay, it can be used directly as a fuel for internal combustion fuel. What is green hydrogen here? Green hydrogen, we know H2O, right? Now, what happens with green hydrogen? Why it is called as green? That is also very important. Hydrogen, we know. I mean, hydrogen is H2, but water, H2O. So what do they do in green hydrogen here is, this is produced using a process called as electrolysis. Keep this in mind. Might be, if at all we are expecting the question, same topic, different question. How it is produced? Through electrolysis. That's the process. Okay, electrolysis. Electrolysis, what happens is a splitting of hydrogen and oxygen. Splitting of hydrogen and oxygen through this process. And why it is called as green hydrogen? Yes, very good. It is produced by using renewable energy. Electrolysis is the process, but electricity, the source of electricity would be renewable energy. It can be solar energy, it can be tidal energy, it can be anything that is renewable. That is why it is called as green hydrogen. And this, by splitting of this oxygen and hydrogen, would give us a fuel where we can use it as in like any other fuel for internal combustion. That is the concept here. Okay, yes, splits water into, very simple, water into hydrogen and oxygen. First point, the process is electrolysis, and the electricity, the source of electricity is, or it is sourced out from renewable energy. That is why it is called as green hydrogen. Simple. Now, all these other, can it produce the same energy as any other fuel? It is still under process for us. Green hydrogen is still in the nascent stage, we would call, but yet we have found out a technology, I would say. Okay, wherever there is a term green, means we are going towards sustainability, right? And the focus here, yes, definitely, the focus here is how much emission we are cutting it off, or we are reducing. Why we are breaking our head so much on this? Because we have a commitment at the global level. What is our commitment? By 2070, we have to go for zero emission, or what's a net zero emission, what we call. So emission has to be cut down. All the greenhouse gases emission has to be cut down. That is the main idea here. That is the reason we are going towards it. We have much more time to understand its efficiency and all that, but we have this technology where we are trying to implement slowly in some industries as well. Because fossil fuel combustion, we know it is a great threat or source of greenhouse gases. That's why we are switching to green hydrogen. That's why the question is also asked in 2023. Okay, know the process, know the outcome, and why we are doing it. Apart from that, what other points you can expect from this area? I mean, questions. Mains also it can be important. What I would suggest you is some programs. What do we have? What are the implementations of the government when it comes to green hydrogen? We have National Green Hydrogen Mission. This is the main mission we have for promoting green hydrogen in India. National Green Hydrogen Mission. Collect some information on this mission, this program. And also we have 2 sub schemes under this. That is, the site is one, go through it. I'm just mentioning it here. And green hydrogen hub. Collect more information on these two sub programs. That is my suggestion to you for the upcoming exam. National Green Hydrogen Mission and two programs. What are the challenges facing green hydrogen implementation? Of course, cost, of course, investment. All this is a great challenge. Apart from that, we have more benefit rather than challenge, but again, cost, investment would matter. Okay, yes. So this is what we have, and my next question would be: there are what do you call as different types of hydrogen. Different types of hydrogen we have. I mean, green hydrogen we have, and mission. We have to go through the mission and sub programs. Anything and everything regarding green hydrogen in the newspaper or in the news, go through it, because it's already a topic well established, and it is more updated in the upcoming days, as we have a commitment at the global level, and you can consider it as a relevant topic. Okay, moving on. Yes, next is regarding fuel, sustainable aviation fuel. Okay, 2024 the question was asked. You can go through this. What's the answer? Yes. Sustainable aviation fuel. Aviation fuel for the aeroplanes. Here also it is all about pollution remedies. One or the other way, it is all connected to reduce emission. That is the main concept here. Why this was asked in 2024? Because ATF is what? Aviation turbine fuel. The cost of ATF was really high for soaring, and we cannot compromise on that also, because mode of transportation, and of course it is required, and the cost is high, and the climate cost is even more high. The climate change cost, because of the usage of this fuel, it was totally impacting climate change a greater way. It had a great impact on climate change. So we have to, lately we are going to a sustainable way of finding a solution for this ATF, because the cost is so high and we cannot stop the transportation altogether. So what was a better alternative? We switched on to sustainable aviation fuel. So which of the above are used as feedstock or raw material for the sustainable aviation fuel? What is sustainable aviation fuel mean here? First, we should understand that. What is that? Only for 2023-24 questions, I'm trying to explain it to you, because it can be asked in future years also. Older ones you already know, but the recent ones I need to explain a bit of it. So a sustainable aviation fuel, as the name itself suggests, the fuel that is extracted from the renewable source, or the nature, organic matter. What was your answers here? Through what all we can expect, or what are the materials where we can have this raw materials wherein we can use for sustainable aviation fuel? You have an answer? You have answered. C, made from renewable resources. Okay, yes, made from renewable resources only. So renewable resources would be here what all? Can we consider wastewater treatment sludge? Is it a resource? Can we consider that? So all of these agricultural residues, corn grain, wastewater treatment sludge, wood mill waste, all can be used as fuel. because in one or the other way, one can be ethanol or OH group alcohol, and because of the presence of the microorganisms, all these act as biofuels. We say biofuel, sources of biofuel it is. So all are right. 1, 2, 3, 4 are correct. Now for your next exam, what we should focus? Recently, India and Brazil have had a collaboration on sustainable aviation fuel. So focus on that now. What is this tie-up? What is this collaboration of sustainable aviation fuel between India and Brazil? Yes, India and Brazil. And sustainable aviation fuel is also called as biojet fuel. Know the alternate name also called as biojet fuel. Okay, other name. So know more about the collaboration between India and Brazil. That would be your updation. Okay, moving on. Okay, this is again based on biofuels only, different biofuel, and more of would say a bit of technical aspects are there. Try to go through it and answer. It is possible to produce algae-based biofuels, but what are the likely limitations? They're telling we can use algae to produce biofuels, but in developing countries, what are the limitations we have? One of you asked, is it energy efficient? What is the trouble? So what are the challenges, right? So green hydrogen, sustainable, aviation fuel or biofuels have some limitation in one or the other way. It was asked in 2017 long back, and you can still consider as relevant. And what is your answer for this? What is the answer? B. Okay. Some statements are quite simple. Let me read it for you. Production of algae-based biofuels is possible in seas only, not on continents. It is very easy. It's a no-brainer for you. We have algae in water as well as land. So no trouble with that. Production of algae-based biofuel is possible. That is not even a limitation because algae is abundant. So one we eliminate. If one we take away, we have A and D, we are removing it. We are left with C and B. So we will see the second statement also. Setting up and engineering the algae-based biofuel production requires high level of expertise, technology until the construction is completed, which is correct. Yes, that is where we are lacking, the expertise and technology. We have all theoretically done in any other technology, but how well we can implement is a limitation. So second statement is right. Economically viable production necessitates the setting up of large-scale facilities which may raise ecological and social concern. Should we consider this option? Economically viable production necessitates the setting up of large-scale facilities. Again, it is related to the second statement, right? So expertise is required, infrastructure is also required. So both 2 and 3 are correct. B is the right answer. Now let's speak about what are biofuels. Biofuels have different generation. 4 generations of biofuels are there. Any idea about it? So algae is which generation? 4 generations of biofuels. Third, yes. We have one more question is also there. We'll go through that same thing. We have edible source, which is war between food versus fuel. Food crops used as biofuels, sugarcane itself, corn, maize, all this edible. Then we have non-edible, molasses, straws, which is Pongamia seeds, Jatropha seeds, which is non-edible, not edible, but can be used for biofuel, second generation. Third generation is algae. Fourth generation is engineered enzymes of bacteria or algae. So we are trying to approach, we have already done with edible, we are in the second generation possibly, and also second and third between these two. And for the going for the further stage or level, we are in need of expertise and technology. That is what we could say. And biofuel, a very important area, different ways, different possible ways questions are asked. No, ignoring it. No ignorance shown on it. You have to completely know well about it for mains as well as prelims. So moving on to the next question, which is also related to biofuels, or maybe, okay, nitrogen fixing we have. The next question, did I miss out anything? I'm just checking. Okay. Next question. 4 generations is what is the takeaway from the previous one, biofuels. This one, regarding, this is a combination of static and dynamic. Nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen cycle is the topic here. And they've asked which of the following are the nitrogen fixing plants. How do we identify? Because so many are given, how will we know? Definitely you should know the examples. No other way, no shortcut for this. The more examples you know, easier to eliminate. 1, 3, and 4. Okay. So we eliminate 2, 5, and 6. Is it? Yes. A is the right answer. Let me check once. Alfalfa, amaranth, chickpea, clover, purslane, and spinach. Okay. What's your answer? A. Now, how do we identify? Very important point. Once you know the foundation, it is easier. Any question asked on this. The nitrogen fixing plants means it is about the nitrogen fixing bacteria present in the roots or present in the plants, which helps the bacteria, which helps the plants to convert nitrogen, whether it is nitrogen to ammonia or ammonia to nitrate, nitrification, ammonification. This is all you have learned in nitrogen cycle. Now, how do we identify which plants have bacteria, which plants do not have nitrogen fixing, or which are not nitrogen fixing plants? So there are 2 types, wherein legumes and non-legumes we say. Legumes and non-legumes. What is the meaning of this? Or maybe in your school level you might have learned. What is it? Rhizobium bacteria lives in the root nodule of leguminous plants. So what are leguminous plants? How do you identify legumes and non-legumes? That is, legumes are the plants with pods, seeds. Okay. Non-legumes are mostly leafy, flowery, or flowers are there, and no pods or seeds. This is the maximum one should know. And how do we by heart the examples? You should legumes and non-legumes. So in this, chickpea, alfalfa, and what do we have? Clover, except for amaranth is not, purslane is not, spinach is not. All these are leafy plants. These are not nitrogen fixing. The chickpea, the beans, soya bean, the pod, okay, the seeds. These are called as legumes plants. These are the ones which are nitrogen fixing plants. So it is a very basic question. I mean, a static question they had asked in 2022. So no skipping the static part. The more you know the static part, the better it is. Then current affairs you can understand with the pattern, but static part you have to learn everything. So nitrogen cycle is the topic here we have to focus on. And all the biogeochemical cycles are important. I've mentioned this in the class as well. So no skipping. All the cycles are important. You have to learn about it. I mean, revise it. Okay. Next is regarding this rice intensification of cultivation, system of rice intensification. Question on rice is being asked multiple times in various types. Consider rice as an important area. Anything with the technology, anything with a GI tag, anything with a geographical condition for rice. Rice is the main topic. Rest all, whether it is technology, new breed, new variety, anything and everything regarding rice is important. Here they have asked about system of rice intensification. What is rice intensification here? What does it tell us? What is the main idea? Because why this question is being asked? D, 1, 2, 3. All 3 are correct. Because rice mean methane emission. Rice is connected to global warming or climate change, we say, because methane is a greenhouse gas and paddy fields are, waterlogged areas wherein it has more methane emission than any other sources. Today we cannot neglect or we cannot compromise on that. We are an agricultural country. We cannot compromise on not cultivating rice. We are dependent on it. So we are finding some alternative for it. System of rice intensification, wherein we are finding method to reduce this methane emission. It is given which alternate wetting and drying of rice field is practiced. Wetting and drying. When you dry out the rice fields instead of keeping it waterlogged, methane emission can be reduced. So this will lead to what? Results in what? Reduced seed requirement, reduced methane production, reduced electricity consumption. So it is a sustainable way of producing rice, cultivating rice, which was that year's current affairs. Yes, there is an increasing rice yields while reducing water. Less water, more yield. One of the technology. So it is purely current affairs based, nothing to do with static part here. And it depends on what news you have come across. Recently, I think maybe you can go through, any new strains of rice, any GI tag for rice, or any climate resilient rice rice variety. All this you have to look into. That is a takeaway from this question. Moving on. We have next question. It can be reduced by water and also pesticides. Basically, it is a sustainable one. Biochar, charcoal, coal, form of coal. Biochar, why it is used in farming and what is biochar? Now it is again to do with climate change and carbon credits also. So what are biochar and how do we use it? What is the answer for this? These are all current affairs based. So I have one suggestion for you in this question. I'll tell you what to read. Let us complete answering this question. What is the answer for this? D. Okay. All three are right. Okay. Now, what is this biochar? The substance is produced by burning organic waste from the agricultural land. What is the definition of biochar? Anything that is burnt in the agriculture, especially the organic waste burnt. So this we use, this we remove, and we can dump it. We can type of charcoal, as simple as that. Why it is called as biochar? Because it is produced by burning farm residue, agricultural residue. That is why. And all three are correct. It enables growing medium. Everything is right. Okay, this has already been asked in 2020. So what shall we focus? Let's look ahead and see what we should focus more on. Recently, it was in news connecting to something called as teal carbon. Any idea about it? Teal carbon. I wanted to look up this topic now for the exam. Teal carbon. Types of carbon. Different colors are given for carbon. Blue carbon, green carbon, teal carbon. What this teal carbon refers to? What is teal carbon? Teal is like light bluish, greenish, right? Teal carbon is the carbon that is sequestrated, stored in wetlands. Wetlands. Okay. Sorry. Take that down and remember to look up this topic. Okay. So wetlands, the carbon that is stored in wetland are called as teal carbon. And there was an article mentioned how biochar can be sequestrated in wetlands, how it can absorb more and it helps in the sustainable or a healthy wetland, and wherein instead of ending up this carbon ending up in the soil or maybe in the agricultural area and it is getting released in the air, it is better to sequestrate or store this in the wetland. So connecting biochar with wetland was that there was one article on Hindu. I'm connecting that topic here now. For suggestion is for you to look into teal carbon. What is teal carbon? Colored carbon. Blue carbon we have when it comes to water. Green carbon when it comes to the carbon that is stored in the plants. So that is what you have to look into. Okay. takeaway. Biochar is done, but still let us look ahead of it. Okay, yes. Next question. It is again related to biofuel, what we have discussed earlier. But tell me, what is the right answer for this? Maize, sources of biofuels are given. Sorry, just okay. Sources of biofuel. So what's the answer? D. A very 2014 very old question, straight question. Maize can be used for the production of starch. Can we have starch from maize? Yes. Like rice it is. Oil extracted from maize can be a feedstock for biodiesel. Maize can also give out oil, and yes, we can use it for biodiesel. Bioethanol and biodiesel are the two different things. Bioethanol and biodiesel. Bioethanol, the source is alcohol group. Anything that has OH group, we say. That is starch, fermented potatoes, rice, and all that, all are OH. Biodiesel, lipid, fat, wax, grease, oil, everything. Third point is alcoholic beverages can be produced by using maize. Definitely yes. So 1, 2, 3 are right. Very old question. And the topic for us here is biofuels itself. So how many times it's been repeated? Biofuel is a topic where it is repetitive. So biofuel is our takeaway from here. Okay. Recent any technology. We'll move on to climate change part. Climate change, some of the questions on that. Carbon market. Now, as I told you, how some in some topics how UPSC is fond of anything to do with carbon, and anything carbon market, carbon that or this, you fill in the blanks. Every word that starts with carbon, the recent technology, is where UPSC eyes upon. So it will be like it gives. I mean, there will be a one question. There will be definitely a question on anything related with carbon lately under climate change topic. Now, I hope you know how carbon market works. If you do not know, anyone of you want me to explain in a brief, please let me know. Or else I presume that you know about it, and we can directly go to the answer. What is the answer for this question? Carbon market. What are carbon markets, and what is the meaning of it here, and how does it work? Here is where I want you to teach the trick of connecting statement 1 and statement 2. C is the answer. Okay. Any other answers you have? C. Most of you have told C, right? Okay. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Carbon markets are likely to be one of the most widespread tools in fight against climate change. A very basic, straight statement, which is true. In carbon market, what happens? Carbon credits are bought and sold. Hope you know this, right? Carbon market, first point, you should always remember, carbon market works like a stock market, financial market. And yes, we are using it as a tool. Carbon market transfer resources from private sector to the state. Why do you consider it as an incorrect statement? What is your idea regarding this? Carbon market transfer resources from private sector to the state. Now, how do we identify whether statement 1 and 2 are connected or not? A justification. Usually we say that add because. That is one technique I've heard from the aspirants also saying me, and I also have tried it out. Whenever you are in doubt and you want to try it out, whether we have to go for A or B, what if there is a correct explanation, incorrect explanation, right? Not the correct explanation. We always go for factually right or not. Always add a because in between. Carbon markets are likely to be one of the most widespread tools in the fight against climate change because carbon market transfer resources from private sector to the state. If it is remotely connected, it is not at all connected. You don't even have to worry about A and B. directly go for the factual correction. If it is slightly related, work on A and B. That is how you understand these type of questions. Though you know the facts, sometimes choosing the answer with the options, you can go wrong. So always add a because, so that all these connecting words, and try it out. Do this experiment before your exam. Do this in mock test before you go for it, and then you try it out in the exam. Okay, then you can see the key answers, you will get it right. This is my suggestion for you. Try working on it. Okay, now we will, what is the answer for this? You went for C, right? Okay, so the answer is B given as per the key answer here. Carbon market transfer resources from private sector to the state. So what is carbon market? As I've told you, it is a financial market. It is regulated by, maybe some factual information for you, it is regulated by BEE. Which organization takes the control of it? Administration, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Which ministry? Ministry of Power. Power. And carbon, when it comes to carbon credit, is what it is traded in carbon market. And carbon credit is something that an unused carbon emission which is spread across who need it. We have other questions also in future, we will look into it. So the answer is B, because both statement 1 and 2 transfer resources from private sector to the state, it is possible. They can market, they can transfer, but it is not the correct explanation. There is no connection at all for the first statement to second statement. Both are right, there is no connection. That is what we see. And don't worry about answering whether it is, did you answer it right or not. Don't worry about it. Collect more information on carbon market itself, how feasible it is today. What was the recent decision taken in the last COP 29, which took place in Azerbaijan, Baku. That is where the question is coming from. That is where they discussed this topic, carbon market, how it functions. Funny part is, I've told in the class also, this concept was pioneered under, I'll tell you, benefits of carbon market. This concept was pioneered in Kyoto Protocol, where no country was ready to take it up. But today we are doing at the national level and international level. Now the COP says that, COP 29, Azerbaijan, UNFCCC COP says that we have to try it out at the international market. We can do it. What is the concept? What is the benefit you're asking? Benefit is reduction in the emission of carbon. Now, one company A wants to emit, say 100 units, and company B has a credit, has a availability, has a capacity to produce 100, but they went for 50 units of carbon. Units, it can be anything, tons you can take anywhere. Now this company is progressing and its carbon intensive activity is extending, and it is required to emit more carbon, but the government has put a cap on 100 itself. This has 50 remaining. This 100, it is completed for this particular company. Now what it can possibly do? The remaining 50 carbon credits will be put under carbon market, wherein it is selling it off as a stock. The company A and company B. Company A, which has fulfilled its 100 units, in need of extra 50, but it cannot emit on its own, will go and buy in the carbon market extra 50 credits. So what this company was supposed to emit is produced by this, where it is compensated. So ultimately nobody is emitting anything extra, and the cap is filled here. What B is not emitting, A is doing it. If you are not using it, let me use it, because I'm developing. So here development and sustainability go hand in hand. That is how carbon market functions. That is why we say carbon market works like a financial market. Buying and selling takes place. Okay, hope you got the point here. Now this is a very out of the blue question. I don't even say that you have to focus on this particular topic, because sometimes to make it more again difficult, one random topic can be asked. That is, European Parliament approved Net Zero Industry Act recently. The only word I want you to focus is, what is net zero emission? Any idea what is net zero emission? I've mentioned earlier also just now. What is net zero emission? India is aiming to achieve this goal by 2070. What is net zero emission? Net zero emission refers to removal of all the greenhouse gases, how much it is produced, or the amount of greenhouse gases produced in the atmosphere will be removed equally. So there is zero, net break even, zero. That is net zero emission. We want to achieve this by 2070. So European Parliament has already implemented an act called as Net Zero Industry Act, wherein they want to reduce this, bring this neutrality by 2040. Even before us, they will do it. For us, we have some time till 2070. This was in the news, they have given it directly. What we should focus is what is net zero emission? What are we doing in India? Okay, as this was the first, Parliament to do such, it can be a model for us to follow the same thing. What is the answer here now? What is the answer for this question? A. Okay. Any other answers? A. Okay. Is correct, and statement 2, C. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Okay, those are telling C why it is incorrect. Can you tell me quickly? The European Union intends to achieve carbon neutrality by 2040. And I just read the statement giving you a hypothetical example how the country works. So we have 2070, there might be 2040. Anything wrong with the second statement? One of you said C is the right answer. Why? First statement is correct. I'm asking about the second statement. If it is C, what is incorrect about it? What is incorrect about it? To achieve, yes, simple point, 2050 they have taken. For us, it is 2070. They have taken 2050. It is not 2040. That is the thing. So as I told you, this is one out of the blue question. You should be knowing it accurately. Only then you go for it, or else no. Don't go for such questions. If you have no idea about the question, never heard in the current affairs, don't take risk. Only if you know, you have revised well, then only I would suggest for you to go through this. Okay. Then we move on to some efforts, conservation efforts. Recently asked, very important topic it is, community reserve. And quite confusing. One particular word will change the meaning of the entire statement. If you have studied under types of protected areas, in situ conservation, how do we conserve biodiversity? We have national parks, we have wildlife sanctuaries, we have community reserve, conservation reserve, biosphere reserves, all are methods of conservation in India. Now they are focused on what the process of, central government has notified this community reserve. How does it work? Now the first statement, I'm just reading it for you. So I want you to understand it really well. Any question asked on this can be answered easily. That's why. The chief wildlife warden of the state becomes the governing authority of such forest. First of all, you should know what is a community reserve. How does it function? What is the background of this method in India? When did it come into being? All this matters. Okay. Second statement is an easier one. That is, hunting is not allowed in such area. Remember, hunting is not allowed anywhere. It is not at one area, it is allowed other. No. Hunting is banned in India. Hunting is illegal. It is a wildlife crime. So no hunting is allowed. Anywhere it is given, go for it. It is not allowed. People of such area are allowed to collect non-timber forest produce. You should be knowing the meaning of NTFP, non-timber forest produce. And people of such area are allowed traditional agricultural practices. So let me break this for you. Community reserve. The background of community reserve, or if you have an answer, you can answer first, then I will go for it. Do you want to answer this? What is the answer for this? For this question? I'm glad you are interactive, so it helps me. Thank you for that. All four are correct. D. Okay, let me explain now. Community reserve, D is not the answer, I'll tell you. Community reserve and conservation reserve. So, Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 was amended in 2002 once. One of the years where it was amended, it paved way for two protected areas, two new protected areas, that is conservation reserve and community reserve. I'll write like this. Conservation reserve and community reserve have something in common, that is, the government of India wanted people to participate in the conservation initiatives. That is where this was brought out. And if you go by the difference, conservation reserve is different, community reserve is again different. The thing is, it has the common element, that is public participation. Include public participation in conservation, no doubt in it. But when it comes to the mechanism, how it works, it is totally different. Conservation reserve, the initiative is taken by the government. It is government's area, government's the state, it belongs to the government, and government will initiate to designate it as a conservation reserve, and people will follow the suit. People will get inside the conservation efforts. It works like that, but democratic part or participative approach. It belongs to whom? Government. The land, the place belongs to government. When it comes to community reserve, the place, the land, the rights, everything belongs to people. Nothing to do with the government. Government do not own this land or forest or lake or whatever place it is. Sacred groves, everything comes under community reserve. And unless people are interested to give it a legal recognition, government cannot force them to do so. That is the difference. In conservation reserve, the initiative is taken by the government and they will designate it, take the help of the people. In community reserve, people voluntarily go and ask they want to make it as a community reserve, then government will follow the suit and they together take up conservation. That is the main difference and common element I told you. Now let's pick off the first statement. Chief Wildlife Warden of the state becomes the governing authority of such forest. In what sense did you find this is right? You might have heard this is true. In actual sense, Chief Wildlife Warden, every state will be having a Chief Wildlife Warden. What is this authority's power? The power is to look after all the protected areas in the state. How do we understand this? Let me explain this to you. Now, Karnataka, when we speak of Karnataka, we have 5 tiger reserves, we have 5 national parks, we have 36, 37 wildlife sanctuaries. All these are, we have 1 conservation reserve, we have 17 community reserves, all are protected areas. Together they are called as protected areas. All the protected areas come under one authority called as Chief Wildlife Warden. So the statement says Chief Wildlife Warden of the state becomes the governing authority of such forest. You might think, okay, community reserve also come under Chief Wildlife Warden, who is also governing, hope you're following what I'm telling you, who is also governing for national park, wildlife sanctuaries and everything. Correct. But becomes the governing authority. He has the power to give permission and all that. True. I mean, the authority has the permission, but power to give permission. Sorry. But here, the governance is taken up not by the Chief Wildlife Warden. Rather, according to the amendment, there shall be a committee called as CRMC, Community Reserve Management Committee. Likewise, in Conservation Reserve, we have Conservation Reserve Management Committee. What are these committees? These are to promote democratic participation or people's participation in the conservation efforts. Now, which is the governing authority here? CRMC is, not Chief Wildlife Warden. Governing means managing in and around. So there will be like 50% of people's representatives, like Gram Panchayat leader, members and all that. 50% would be from the government officials. Both together will govern. Chief Wildlife Warden means what happens here. Okay, I'm just explaining it to you. What happens here? Again, government will be in the picture now. Government only will take over, the governance. Now, what is the point of calling it as community reserve if government is deciding everything, right? So CRMC is the governing body. Keep that in mind. So the first statement is incorrect. Hope you got the point here, why it is incorrect. Second is hunting is not allowed. I told you it is true. People of such area who live in and around can collect non-timber. We have forest produce classified into timber and non-timber. Timber is what? Log, cutting, felling of trees. Okay, there was a slight interruption. We will continue. I was still telling you. Last part is conventional agricultural practice. So here the answer is B. Okay, 2 and 3 are correct. So answer is B. Every word matters here. So in order to arrive at the right answer, conceptual clarity is very important. That is what you have to remember here. Okay. So yes, community reserve, recently asked question, and the takeaway, what I would suggest you is, there was multiple articles regarding community reserve. The criticism is, in the name of community reserve, government is taking over, or government is kind of encroaching indirectly, and many sacred groves and the places especially in Nagaland, if you consider, in India, Nagaland has the highest number of community reserve. We say that, and slowly it has been made into the forest land, and now no longer people have some limitations to end up in this places where they had traditional rights before. Now they cannot. All these issues were there. That is where the question is coming from. Now what you have to focus is the recent any examples we have. Now I have seen in news that Tadoba, have you heard of Tadoba and Kaval or Kaval, whatever, Telangana and Maharashtra border, these two states have initiated a process to make it as a conservation or community reserve. You have to look into it. So go through the examples, go through it, and again revisit your static part of the features of what is a conservation reserve, what is a community reserve. Have a clear distinction between these two. Very important. Okay, that is the takeaway from here. I would say go back to all the features of community and conservation reserve. Moving on, we have again one more wildlife for the wild animals. So Wildlife Protection Act. One more question on Wildlife Protection Act of in 2022. So this is also a little tricky question. Looks very simple, but go through this and tell. Yes. Let me read it for you. Wild animals are the sole property of the government. Is the statement correct? Wild animals are the sole property of the government. Now we saw a word on vermin. We discussed about vermin. That is also repeated here. We can find that part here. And third one, vermin, I think here we have A, 1 and 2 is the right answer. B, 2 only. Okay. We have different answers. Let me break this down for you. Wild animals are the sole property of the government. Do we have this anywhere in the act mentioned? Even I keep telling in the class, when we speak of killing of animals or captive animals, keeping captive animals and all that, or any animals entering into agricultural field and we take care of it. Can we do it? Is it legal? All these questions. So wild animals are the sole property of the government. It is partially correct. The word what it is used here, it is wrong. So I'll give a technical reason, like actual factual reason here. Under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, Section 39, subsection 1, according to this, is clearly given. Wild animals are the property of the government, state. No doubt in it. What went wrong here is sole. Sole refers to absolute. So this absoluteness is not there. Yes, it is the government's property, we can say, but sole property refers to the complete ownership. So we call it as the guardian. Ownership, yes. Ownership, yes. So you will get confused whether ownership or guardian, what is correct here. So as I told you, Section 39, subsection 1 explains, and also the Madras High Court in the case of A. Vishwanathan versus State of Tamil Nadu. This was one case wherein High Court of Madras had given that Wild animals cannot be completely, it is part of the government, of course, yes, but this absoluteness should not be there when it comes to the government. So all are part of this conservation, but absoluteness is not what we are using here. Guardian, yes. Final say the government has. And that is why we have the certificate of ownership when it comes to elephants. Ownership. One can own it, one can possess it, but who has the final say in it? It is the government. And why first statement is incorrect? Because of the word, it is an extreme word we are seeing here. Sole property, we cannot say. It is the public property, public, again the government itself. So the word what is used is incorrect, is what the analysis say. Okay. Second statement is, when a wild animal is declared protected, such animal is entitled for equal protection, whether it is found in protected areas or outside. Definitely yes. Wild animal, whichever part it is, wherever it is not a wild animal only when it is inside the forest. Wherever it is protected. Just because leopard is out in the city doesn't mean that it is not protected. So wherever they are protected. So second statement is correct. Okay. Then, apprehension of a protected wild animal becoming a danger to human life is sufficient ground for its capture or killing. Apprehension, understanding that wild animal, once it becomes dangerous to us, that itself is enough for killing it, is said. Can we kill a wild animal on that reason or those grounds? No, that is not the reason, because here is where I told you. I told you the second option first. It is third option, third statement here. Vermin comes in. So vermin, how do we decide? It is not because just they are threatened, they are a threat to us, we are not killing. Damage to life and property, and also on certain conditions. And one more important point is, in the older act we had, except for schedule 1. Except for schedule 1, all the other animals can be considered as vermin. That means, what do you call, schedule 1 animals like leopards, tigers, cheetahs, all are not considered as vermin. If elephant is entering into an agricultural field and it is destroying, going by the definition, can we kill it? No, because it is a schedule 1 animal. That is an exception. So there are exceptions. Different ways the question is being asked. The takeaway from here is, vermin is repetitive, right? And killing of the animals and the ownership of the animals in 2022. Why this was asked? Because in 2022, Wildlife Protection Act was amended that year. 2022 Amendment Act. That is the reason question is asked. Okay. Yes, Wildlife Protection Act. Now, next one, again on Wildlife Protection Act in 2020 regarding plants. Try answering this. If a particular plant species is placed under Schedule 6 of the wildlife, older one before amendment, what does it mean? What is the right statement here? What does it mean? When we place a particular plant under Schedule 6, what is the answer for this? Answer is little saturated, tired. What is the answer? A. Yes. License is required. Licensed cultivation is allowed. Okay. Conservation, preservation, possession is prohibited. Conservation, preservation, possession, prohibited. One more question is there like this same similar statement I'm telling you. So it is prohibited except for licensed cultivation. License should be obtained. Permission should be taken. There are 6 plants. If you know the names, red vanda, blue vanda, then we have kuth plant, bedome cycad, one pitcher plant is there. All these are 6 plants are there total. So they cannot be, they are not supposed to be cultivated under any circumstances, which means that with license it can be. So which is the more best or apt answer? A. Whether it is a GM crop or modified, genetically modified crop plant, no, that is nothing to do with Schedule 6. Such a plant is invasive and harmful, no. So C and D anyway you can eliminate. Between A and B, A is the best answer. We go for A. Okay. Then now it is little regarding the pollution part, mostly environmental conservation. In this upcoming questions, what you can see here is, what I would say is, Mostly it is about, what do you call, that year's news based questions like this one. Okay, that year it is in the news, that is where they ask. It is nothing to do with the static part, repetition and all that. This part you should be a little careful when you're revising current affairs. Now, if you have an answer, you can try answering, but the main topic here is carbon capture and carbon sequestration. That's what. Carbon capture and carbon sequestration. Spreading finely ground basalt rock on farmlands extensively, increasing the alkalinity of ocean by adding lime, capturing carbon dioxide released by various industries and pumping it into abandoned subterranean mines. How many of these activities are carbon capture and carbon sequestration? There are two different words mentioned here. You always should know what is the difference between carbon capture and carbon sequestration. While you think to answer, I would like to explain what is carbon capture and carbon sequestration. Carbon capture is after emission. Now the fossil fuel is burnt. It has emitted carbon to the air. Then we capture from there. And is it feasible? It is possible. What is the investment? What is the challenge? Yes, it is. It is like it requires huge investment. We have to use a device for it. And it is like literally removing the carbon from air. Not very easy. Even if it is easier, then we need more investment. For a country like India, we are not prepared for it. Okay. Sequestration is different. Sequestration is the continued version of carbon capture. Hope you're following me. Carbon capture is after the release of carbon, it is captured, removed. Removal of the carbon from the air after releasing. Sequestration is either you can, from the emission itself, you can directly connect it to the mainlands in the sense abandoned lands, inside the deep ocean, inside the wetlands, inside the forest land somewhere, pumping it literally. Sequestration is storing. Okay, or you can capture the carbon in the carbon capture method, then you can store it. So of all the three, what is the right answer for us here? What is the right answer? You have answered D or C? C, all three, yes. All the three are right, because what happens after capturing is usually it is captured in the form of gaseous matter form. Then it will be compressed, made into liquid. Then it will be sent across. It will be transported, and it will be stored in. It all looks nice to listen, and maybe you have to imagine. Why I'm telling you to imagine, because it is not possible as of now. Yes, it is. It is related to carbon sink, as a very good question. But carbon sink means absorption of the carbon. We are not doing it artificially. Carbon sinks are forest, ocean. It happens because of the biological process. But carbon capture and carbon sequestration is something to do with human beings. We are adding, we are intervening here. We are doing it artificially. So the carbon will be compressed into liquid, and it will be transferred to oceans, abandoned land, or anywhere, peatlands, wherever it is injected and it is stored there. So that carbon will not be more in the air, where we can control global warming or tackle climate change, carbon emission whatsoever. 2023 it was asked because these questions are seen in the, statements are seen in the articles. What all possible ways we can do it? Next year something else will come. So every year it is dynamic. You can go for one particular technique here. What you have to know is, what is the takeaway? What is carbon capture? What is sequestration? That remains stagnant. All the methods are new methods. Okay, so that is what you have to look into. So again, we go to the next question. There also you see the same thing. Carbon and carbon, everywhere it is carbon emission. In rural road construction, the use of which of the following is preferred for ensuring environmental sustainability or to reduce carbon footprint, it is asked. That is one word I'll tell you: slag. Wherever you hear the word slag, remember slag means byproduct or the residue. Okay, many a times it has been repetitively seen in the question paper. Byproduct of the respective word given here. If it is called as copper slag, it is a byproduct of copper. If it is called as steel slag, it is the byproduct of steel. slag, the residue. Remember this word, okay? Don't get confused. Copper slag, cold mix asphalt technology, geotextiles, hot mix, Portland cement. In all these activities, which is considered as sustainable, which will lead to reduce the carbon rather than releasing more carbon. Again, I told you 2020, these were the technologies in the news, they have asked that. So you cannot expect the same technologies every year. What we can expect is the context. Context remains same. Carbon emission, carbon reduction, whatever. This current year, whatever new technologies have come, that is what you have to look into. If you type the keywords and look into it, maybe you'll get some information. Maybe possibly go for a COP initiatives. I mean, the recent latest COP, whatever meeting they have discussed. And in the articles, if you find carbon footprint, type keywords such as carbon sequestration, carbon capture technologies and all that, you'll get some technologies, latest ones. Focus on that. That will be asked like this. This is a pattern. Some terms will be used and which of them will reduce or increase carbon footprint, release of carbon basically. So what is your answer for this question, which was asked in 2020? What is the answer? So they're asking which is a sustainable method. Anything to do with hot asphalt will be burning. Burning means give out carbon. Cold mix means compressed, we are reducing carbon emission. When you burn something, it releases something, okay? So 1, 2, and 3, copper slag, cold mix, geotextiles. Copper slag is the residue of the copper where we can use it for, again, reduce the emission. Cold mix asphalt technology is again, cold means no combustion means no carbon, so we can accept that. Geotextiles means earth. When we construct road, we spread a mat like wherein the dust or any chemicals or anything to do with carbon will not be released, so it will be a cover on the road so that it will not release any carbon. So all these are the sustainable methods to reduce carbon emission during road construction. Hot mix asphalt technology, Portland cement are the more, it is an intensive activity where we release more carbon through it. So 4 and 5 is incorrect, 1, 2, 3 are correct. Okay, the ultimate idea here is the carbon footprint. You have to look into it. That's what we have. Okay, we will move on to the next one, that is a definition is given. This is also one way wherein the same pattern we can also see in economics. One phrase or one term will be given, recently used term. Then what is it? Definition will be asked. Can you try guessing or try answering this? What is the social cost of carbon mean? What do you understand by social cost of carbon? Sometimes with irrelevant options, first you try to eliminate. I'll give you a suggestion. If there is a definition like this, go for the elimination first, which is totally irrelevant. You by yourself, you know that no, it is nowhere connected. It doesn't make any sense. Eliminate that first. Then go for the arrive at the right answer, right option. Social cost of carbon. Wherever there is something called as social, that will be leading to people, right? C, efforts put by a climate refugee to adapt to live in a new place. Okay, any other answer? Cost is something to do with we are paying a price. At what cost, we say, right? Elimination, I'll tell you, elimination. So requirement of fossil fuels for a country to provide goods and services to its citizens based on burning of these fuels. So whenever there's a question asked on carbon emission, usually they go for positive impact or maybe to find out solution, more of finding a solution. So social cost here refers to, we usually ask, right, what cost are we doing it? That's the point here. So it is not B, it is not C, it is nothing to do with climate refugee adapting in a new place. No, it is not that. Maybe sometimes you might find it difficult here, but it is not B, not C, it is not even D. We go for A. Long-term damage done by a ton of carbon dioxide emission in a given year. That is the cost. Long-term damage we are doing it. So A is the right answer. And I've given you a suggestion. If it is totally irrelevant, you feel it is incorrect, eliminate and go for it. And it is a totally new phrase for you. If find it very difficult to go by any of the statements, it's better to skip. You might think I'm telling skip and all. Don't keep on skipping all the questions. I'm telling you only the irrelevant, tougher ones where you can't even make a guess. Better not to answer than attract penalty is my point here. Okay. When we were studying, the cutoff was like more than 114 and all, like early 2000s, 2010 and all that, 14, 15. But today we know the cutoff of prelims, how it has gone very less. I mean, less in the sense 90 is still 90 plus is still a better, good marks only. But why risk yourself by going for the negative marking or penalty? That's my point. Okay, unless you know for sure, or you are good at eliminating, guessing. That is all at your risk. So that's what I would suggest. So A is the right answer. Maybe that year this term was there. You don't have to worry about it. It is not a repetition. It is only a pattern for us to know. Any technical words is mentioned with quotes in article. With quotes, I'm telling you, make a note of it. Okay, that's a suggestion. The next question. This is a very logical question. If you can actually connect the points, connect the dots, you can arrive at the right answer. It is related to nitrogen pollution. How nitrogen, different compounds, oxides of nitrogen is released into the environment. Try answering this question. What is the answer for this? Agricultural soils release nitrogen oxides into the environment. Cattle release ammonia into the environment. Poultry industry release nitrogen compounds into environment. It is all revolving around nitrogen. D, right answer. Agricultural soils release nitrogen oxide into environment. How? Through what? You have to justify in the exam hall if such questions are given. Answer is right, but how? Give yourself an example. Will it suit? Agricultural soil release means we are using nitrogenous fertilizers, urea, for example. So that will release excess of nitrogen. Nitrogenous fertilizers will release oxides, which is correct. Cattle release ammonia into the environment. How cattle and ammonia is related here? Cattle feed, or the food which is fed, and also their excretion, urination is rich in ammonia. Obviously, ammonia is ending up in the environment. Cattle, livestock rearing is one of the reasons for nitrogen pollution. This I mentioned in the class also. Nitrogen pollution, different countries, different troubles. In India, it is agriculture. In America, it is livestock rearing. It is not agriculture, livestock rearing. Why? Because cattle farming, feeding, and their excretion everywhere. And this excretion will release ammonia, nitrogen pollution, more nitrogen oxide, which is a greenhouse gas, which is an air pollutant. Poultry industry, again, because of their excretion, different nitrogenous compounds. Usually the animals' excretions are rich in uric acid, urea in urine, ammonia, nitrogen. That is how we give out nitrogen from our body. In nitrogen cycle, we have learned. So all the three are correct. There's only pure logic, pure understanding of the topic, nothing to do with current affairs. Maybe there was news regarding nitrogen pollution, they have asked this. Okay. Next, we have few more questions. PFA was asked in 2024. Perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl. These are the two words which was in news, part of current affairs. It was asked. It is also called as forever chemicals. If you have come across this word in 2024, it was asked last year itself. Forever chemicals, another name. Why are they called as forever chemicals? How it is connected to us in our daily life? Because we are using it literally. PFAS are found to be widespread in drinking water, food, and food packaging materials, which is true. All our non-stick ware, are the containers or the packaging materials what we use for food, and what we consider as non-sticky. We want non-sticky, long duration to store food, which is good, which is durable, which is consumer friendly and everything. But what are the troubles with it? So these will enter into the food chain, damage, or it will lead to bioaccumulation. So bioaccumulation, we have learned, as a static part. That is the topic here. And bioaccumulation, since many years, bioaccumulation, biomagnification is still a topic, but they are not using the static part of it. They are using the examples. So PFAS are not easily degraded in the environment. True. That is why they're called as forever chemicals. It was part of current affairs for us. So you have to focus on this. And yeah. So answer is 1, 2, and 3. It is not easily degraded. It is found in the daily products what we use, and it will lead to bioaccumulation. It stores in our body, and it can spread out in other organisms, and it can be lethal also in the long term. Next, biofilters. Now, this is again initiatives and all. This part, what we are going through at last, I'm telling you, this is, last but one question, I hope, or a few more questions we have. So biofilters, when we consider these words, biofilters, biochar, and all that, what we have to focus is initiatives, technologies are new every year. We cannot go by the pattern for this, but what we can focus here is maybe the word prefix bio is important. Likewise. So this question was asked in 2023. I'll tell you how it works. Biofilter is a device, is a method, is a method wherein how we are providing fertilizers, or we use fertilizers in the land, and plants will use whatever they want. Rest is left over, leads to eutrophication. Likewise, in the fishing areas, aquaculture, what happens is we add fish food, right, in the water. Fish will take whatever they want, remaining will be there. It gets decomposed. Now what happens? It leads to emission. It kills, or it leads to oxygen supply will be less. In order to tackle this problem, a new initiative had come up in 2022-23. That is biofilters. Biofilters is like a proper filter wherein microorganisms are attached to it, and microorganisms will the very concept of bioremediation we are talking here, detoxifying the environment. What we have as a solution for bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Bioremediation is a process wherein microorganisms are used to detox the environment, contaminated environment. Now the water is contaminated, the aquaculture ponds, because of excess of feed. Now introduction of the microorganisms using a filter will absorb all the excess nutrition. It will break it down, and it will not affect the water body, and it will also remove all the excess nutrients in the water. This is a technology. So that is why they have asked this. So first statement is right. Convert ammonia present in fish waste to nitrate. Ammonia will be converted into nitrate by the microorganisms, what we call as nitrogen fixation. So intense the questions are, okay, when we go through the core topic and the current affairs, how it is connected well. Nitrogen cycle is the topic here, actual topic, the core one. But they have used a technology to bring that topic here. Ammonia to nitrate. What is that process called as? Nitrification. Right? What is ammonification? Nitrogen to ammonia is ammonification. Ammonia to nitrite, I. Nitrite to nitrate, A. Nitrite and nitrate. This entire process called as nitrification. So microorganisms will help in that, in the nitrification process, which helps the plant growth good in the water. Not excess algae, but all the plants. Then biofilters increase phosphorus as nutrient for fish in water. No. Biofilters has nothing to do with phosphorus. For nitrogen, there is a different system. For phosphorus, there is different system. The biofilters, as of now, we use it only for nitrogen, not for phosphorus. 1 and 2 is right. Okay. So this is current affairs based question. So B is the right answer. Then we move on to the next one. Okay. I think we have 3 more, possibly 2022. Okay, we will discuss this one. This is a kind of question on air quality guidelines we have seen. The first question is very technical. One would not understand what is this, too much of words, numbers we have, figures we have here. It is about PM 2.5 levels according to WHO, how much it should be there. Before it was different. They have even reduced it. PM 2.5 should not exceed. There is 2 things. One is annual mean. Annually, how much of PM 2.5 is emitted. And in a day, how much of PM2.5 is emitted? We know that PM2.5 is one of the air pollutant along with PM10, along with other air pollutants. So under WHO, what I would suggest here, WHO has a different list of air pollutants. Our National Air Quality Index, what we have, that has a different set of pollutants. Generally, we have different set of pollutants. Question can be asked based on which guidelines it is, whether it is national guidelines, WHO, or general. Little technical for you, you might feel, but first know the list. Learn the list. Under WHO, how many, this one, what is there, pollutants are there? Let me give an example. And according to national level index, what we have, air quality index, we have added lead and ammonia as air pollutant. But WHO do not identify lead and ammonia as a air pollutant. Getting it? So they have a separate list, we have a separate list. On that WHO basis, they have asked. So first statement is anyway correct. It is, if it is too technical, usually it will be right. Second is in a year. This is second statement. Focus on that. Let me explain a very important line. The highest level of ozone pollution occur during the periods of inclement weather. Inclement weather, they expect you to know some technical words here, but let me break this down for you. Inclement is cold weather. I'm helping you out. First statement is right. I have only told you. What about the second statement? Can you answer? What about the second statement? Ozone pollution. Here we are talking about the tropospheric. In one question, we have too many topics. Just focus. Ozone pollution. When we say ozone pollution, ozone is also an air pollutant. It is all about all the air pollutants here. Ozone pollution means tropospheric ozone. We have two types of ozone, stratospheric and tropospheric. Ground level ozone and the ozone hole, the layer itself, layer itself. We are talking about the tropospheric, not one which protects us from UV rays, the one which is in the ground level. How this ozone is formed, technical or the static part here. What you have to know is the ground level is ozone is formed. Remember this equation. I've mentioned this in class also. Again, I'm repeating for your revisions, for some of you. Ground level ozone is formed. Remember this equation. In the presence of sunlight, in the sunlight plus oxides of nitrogen, NOx plus VOX. Remember like that. Sunlight, NOx plus VOX. VOX here refer to volatile organic compounds. In the presence of sunlight, nitrogen oxide plus volatile organic compound, together they join and ozone, O3, ground level ozone is produced. Remember this equation. Now look at the statement and tell me. The statement says ozone pollution occur during the periods of cold weather. Is it correct or incorrect? Can you answer? Does it occur during cold weather or hot weather? If I have to make it even incorrect. Why? Because sunlight is required. It will not happen in winter, rather it is in summer more. So it is incorrect. Okay? This fact you remember. In either way, if there is asked anywhere, in different way, you should know. And PM10 can penetrate the lung barrier and enter bloodstream. PM10 means the 10 is a micron size. 2.5 is what goes to the lower respiratory organs. Good, you're answering. I got the point and hope you also understood. Okay. Lower respiratory organs will be, the impact on lower respiratory organs is because of the PM2.5, small micron size. It will go inside the lungs. PM10 will be having nose irritation, 10 micron size, which is bigger particles. So third statement is incorrect. Excessive ozone in the air can trigger asthma, correct? Will it trigger asthma? Ozone is an air pollutant. It will lead to respiratory disorders. Suggestion. My suggestion for you is visit WHO Air Quality Index Guidelines, Air Quality. Simply type WHO Air Quality, that website. You have complete information. Please go through it again, entire thing. You have all these statements directly taken from that website. WHO website. You can go through that. Please note it down and please revise about this air quality guidelines. Okay. Yes. That's what you have to prepare from this pattern. Then magnetite particles. Magnetite particles. are suspected to cause neurodegenerative problems that are generated as environmental pollutant from which of the following? Now, this is regarding magnetite pollution. Magnetite means we know that it is what? One of the types or forms of iron. Now, iron particles, how do they end up in air? Because of mining, mostly because of mining. Okay. So, that year, magnetite pollution was the topic. They have asked about it. Every year, one particular chemical they will take. I'm explaining the pattern to you rather than answering the question here. We have to focus on the pattern. Okay. See, every year there will be one chemical that is used. I mean, that will be mentioned in the news. They will focus on that. Question pattern would be how it is caused. What are the reasons or what are the complications? I'll show you the pattern continuously. Now, first one is magnetite particles, iron. Brakes of motor vehicles, engines of motor vehicles, microwave stoves, power plants, telephone lines. Neurodegenerative problems means neurological disorders can lead to. So the friction, the heat generated because of the iron, wherever we are using, that is where the magnetite particles are emitted. Now, which of the following are correct now? Or if you go through the elimination, it is easier for you. What activities are not connected with iron magnetite particles release? If you go through that also, you can find an answer. Yes. Can you answer this question? Which particles will not emit iron? A. 1, 2, 3, and 5. Microwave stoves, what do they use? What is the technology used there? See, friction of brake, motor vehicles, when there is a friction on because of the tire, right? What happens because of that? See, magnetite is nothing but residue of magnetite ore, iron oxide or oxide of iron. Especially the natural causes mining or the normal causes mining. Apart from that mining, what are the things? Brakes of motor vehicles, the friction will release the particles. Engines of motor vehicles will release some amount of particles. Microwave stoves within homes use electromagnetic radiation. Radiation is different, particles suspended in the air is different. It is not a pollutant. Electromagnetic radiation, microwaves, right? So 3 is not the right answer. Power plants, yes. Telephone lines, what do they use? Telephone lines. That is also electromagnetic, right? So 3 and 5 are incorrect. Sorry, 3 and 5 are incorrect. So 1, 2, 4. B is the answer. Again, don't panic. What if it is asked? For us, it is asked in 2021. I'll show you the next question. You will understand. Here it is benzene pollution 2020. One pollution question. 2023, it was mercury pollution. Terms differ. Pollution question remain. Air pollution is one sure short question, and different chemicals are used in the question, and you have to know the sources, reason, sources, factors, whatsoever. A benzene pollution, if you do not know, try answering or maybe try guessing. Benzene pollution, what would be the answer for this? Looking at the option, try answering. What is benzene pollution? What is it exactly? It is a colorless liquid, okay? I'll tell you the source. Benzene pollution has its source in combustion of fossil fuel. When you burn fossil fuels, benzene is released. It is a colorless pollutant that is released. Now, hope you will get an idea. Anything that is burnt, combustion, will give out benzene. Now, what is the right answer? Can we say 1, 2, and 3? Varnished wooden furniture. Varnishing is nothing to do with burning. I told you, benzene means, remember, burning. Benzene is with connection with the burning. I told you, magnetite is connected with the iron or iron oxides. Once you know the source, then you can answer. Automobile exhaust smoke, burn, tobacco smoke, wood burning, all right. Varnished wooden furniture using products made of polyurethane, both are nothing to do with smoke. There is no fire here. It is only the chemicals. So A is the right answer. But what is this varnishing and all? How it leads to? it emits volatile organic compounds. Where did we see volatile organic compounds? Just now, in the emission or in the composition of the ozone. How ozone is formed? I told you the equation. Sunlight, in the presence of sunlight, oxides of nitrogen, volatile organic compound. Varnish, spray, enamels, perfumes, deodorants, everything that is suspended in the air is volatile organic compound. It is not because of burning something. So 1, 2, 3 is right. 4 and 5 is incorrect. Nothing to do with benzene pollution. Okay. Though we are trying to answer the question here, I'm telling you the factor. We saw that before it was magnetite, now it is benzene. Now we have steel slag. I told you what is the meaning of the word slag now. We saw copper slag in the previous question. Now it is steel slag. What is steel slag now? Slag in copper, it is the residue of the copper industry. Steel slag is the residue of the steel industry. Byproduct, as simple as that. Now, steel slag, where all we can use it? Where can we use the steel slag? That's the question. What is the application of the steel slag? Yes. Try guessing. See, when there is a byproduct, don't consider it as one toxic substance. We use it for some residues can be used for the sustainable activities. So what is waste here? We are using for the construction of the base road. Improvement of agricultural soil. You might be wondering how steel is connected with agriculture. Because say some of you are answering C because nothing to do with agriculture because it is steel. This is agriculture. Steel slag, the leftover residue. The fact is it is rich in calcium. It is rich in magnesium. So it acts like limestone to neutralize the alkalinity of the soil, to reduce the pH of the soil. To make it more acidic, we can use steel slag, the leftover in the agricultural soil, which is good for the plants. Second is correct. Production of cement. Production of cement. Can we use it for production of cement? The steel, can we use it for cement production? We can do it because steel slag has so many minerals in it. It has silica, it has calcium, it has magnesium. Silica is used in, again, cement, and production of cement is possible using steel slag. So byproduct. They are not asking whether it is emitting or there are emissions. No. What are the applications of steel slag? That is why, because of this, we are looking into a green steel. So I would suggest you to answer is 1 and 2. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. D. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3. All are possible because of this. Okay. Here in this topic, though it is asked in 2020, look into the topic, what is green steel? I told you, wherever there is green, it is to do something to do with renewable energy. Green steel. Okay. That is my suggestion for you to go through. Then, bioremediation technique. Very old question. Some basic direct question has been asked on the bioremediation. What is the answer for this? So in the context of solving pollution problems, what are the advantages and disadvantages? So it is a technique for cleaning up pollution. It is first point is regarding the definition of the word bioremediation. Yes, true. Any contaminant with heavy metals such as cadmium and lead can be readily completely treated by the bioremediation using microorganisms. It is not possible. Cadmium and lead, we cannot remove it. We can neutralize it. It is incorrect. Heavy metals, we cannot do it. Genetic engineering can be used to create microorganisms. So don't worry about answering it. So 1 and 3 is right. But just only focus on the word bioremediation. New techniques you have to focus. From here, I would suggest the topic biomining. Focus on the word biomining and learn about it for this year exam. Biomining. Okay. Then next question. This is purely based on current affairs. Recently, Athwas initiative was launched for Dal Lake. The focused topic is Dal Lake. Dal Lake is in Jammu Kashmir, Srinagar. Why this was in news, I'll tell you. Dal Lake, that year in 2000, I think 2000, recently, last year it was asked, 2023, death of fishes in the lake. Fishery is the main occupation. It supports livelihood of the people here. But because of the chemicals or excess, not chemicals, increase in temperature that year, extreme temperature led to the death of fishes in Dal Lake. So then government took this initiative called as Atwas to clear the lake, clear the detoxification of the lake. That was called as Atwas. Dal Lake is an urban lake. So what is the answer for this? Play a vital role. One of the unique features of the Dal Lake is floating gardens. All are correct. D is the right answer. But the focus is about the death of the fishes. Now, for this year's exam, I would say, if at all, do we have anything to do with Dal Lake or this place? India's first Uber water transport or water taxi cab is implemented in this Dal Lake. That is the recent news we have. So go through that current affairs for the sake of knowing it. And the same place is anyway important. Depending upon the current affairs, it is totally. Okay. Then this one, Johar rice. Rice again. We saw 2 questions as of already. Rice. Okay. 2 more questions will complete. Johar rice. Johar rice is a short grain variety of winter paddy known for its distinctive aroma and exceptional taste. Statement 1. Johar rice is valued for its flavor, rich nutritional profile. Johar belongs to Sali rice, a winter rice cultivated in Assam. What is the answer for this? The answer for this is both statement. Sorry, I'll just go through it. Both statement, yes, A. Both statement 2 and 3 are correct. Both of them explain statement 1. So there is a continuity. There is a transition in all these statements. One explains the other. Look at the first statement. We have 2 things, aroma and taste. So second statement speaks about nutrition, taste, taste and aroma. And the third statement speaks about winter rice. So all are totally connected. So we go for statement A. Johar rice has GI tag. Okay, I told you how the rice-based questions will be asked. New variety, GI tag, any rice intensification, fortification. This is where the question comes from. So rice itself is important. And Johar rice has one legend behind it, wherein in Assamese there is one Ramayana, Assamese Ramayana. In Assamese Ramayana, written in 14th century, a person called as Kavi Raja Kandalagi, someone. So he wrote this Assamese Ramayana. In that, it is mentioned, it seems, about Johar rice, wherein Johar rice is so flavorful and so tasty and exceptional aroma it has. So Ravana used to prepare this rice, Johar rice variety, to appease, to make Kumbhakarna to wake up, because he used to sleep a lot, right? To wake him up from his prolonged sleep, Ravana used to use this Johar rice, is mentioned in Assamese Ramayana, art and culture. It might help you. So this is where, and it has GI tag. These are the 2 things I would add here. So rice itself is an important point. Next, C4 plants. This is also purely of current affairs based question. What is the answer for this C4 plants? Again, this is a carbon related question, related to carbon. So when we speak of this, answer would be, so don't worry about, again, I'll tell you, all of a sudden abruptly some questions are asked, don't worry about it. Here statement 1 is correct, first statement is right, second statement is incorrect. Okay, so it is 2 only, the answer is 2 only. What are C4 plants? C4 plants means the carbon plants where it is plants where it is known to reduce the carbon emission. So anything to do with reduction of carbon emission, questions will be asked. Here that this was the news. So there is no repetition of C4 plants. It is done over. No repetition at all, no pattern at all. For us, carbon is the topic. Okay. So last question for the day. Sugarcane, wheat, maize, soybean. This I've already mentioned. We have just discussed. First generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. First generation is edible. Second generation is non-edible. Third generation is algae-based. Fourth generation is genetically engineered or engineered crops. What is the answer for this? Second generation biofuel crops. How many are there? D, none. Because sugarcane, wheat, maize, soybean, all are edible crops. So there is no non-edible crops here. So D is the right answer. Clear? Yes. So we are done here. I hope you got some idea about this, the pattern, especially the major topics, the words where it is used. Now it's time for you to take up your notes or for the revision. This is a revision time for you. All the words and some of the suggestions I have given, go through it. Okay. And also revise the relevant topics. Okay. This will help you a lot. I hope it has helped you. So we'll wind up for today. Any queries you have, you can ask. Or else we'll call it a day. Okay. I presume there are no questions. All the best. Do well. We expect great results from you. And do really well. Don't panic. Just be calm. Do well. Okay. Take care.